Good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. on Thursday, August 3rd. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 100. Coming up on OTB, Hester is back in the host chair, and he has several guests today. Terrell of ESPN joins the show at 8 a.m. We talk to Wilson Alexander, award-winning journalist for The Advocate, at 8:30. And Chef Michael Johnson joins the show at 9:15 for a new edition of Munchies. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 1 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, and welcome into Off the Bench here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Vacation is over. I am back. T-Bob is not back. He is the savvy vet. He took the full week of vacation before football gets started. But what T-Bob doesn't know is football actually gets started today here in Baton Rouge. Training camp is upon us. Cannot wait to dive in to all the news, all the notes, and all the getting fitted for equipment, because that's probably what today's going to be. But that's okay, because we'll talk about that as well. Mario Taylor holding it down over the last 3 days. First off, I appreciate you. Appreciate y'all holding it down, allowing us to go on vacation. How was it, Mario?
It was good, man. It was good. Had a lot of fun. Shout out to Taylor, Casey. Did a great job. Made my job easy. Hopefully you were able to enjoy some time off.
Yeah, Taylor, did you get any Cowboys discussion in?
Mario may have taken a shot or two. Wasn't a ton. Nothing positive, of course, but we may have gotten a little Cowboys talk.
Yeah, because the group chat, which is usually pretty lively throughout the day, it was pretty dead with T-Bob and I being on vacation, y'all holding it down here. The only things that we got were Dak throwing interceptions in the group chat.
Yeah, I think one of them actually came from me, so for what it's worth.
A little bit of Deuce Vaughn. He's doing some stuff.
Oh, hey, I'm actually excited about Deuce Vaughn. All right, as Mario laid out, we do have a big show. We're going to have Cat on to talk New Orleans Saints in the second hour. Wilson Alexander had a great article and a couple of different things going on, like even LSU actually going to supply injury reports, which is something we just don't see in college football. I first saw it from Wilson, so we'll catch up with him at 8:30. At 7:30, let's go ahead and get out in front of this. We're going to try to be on two shows at once. Cole Cubelic, who hosts over on Jocks in Birmingham, we're going to be on his show, and he's going to be on our show at 7:30. We're going to try to do this at the same time. And if it messes up, it is completely Cole's fault, because Cole said, here's what you have to do. We've got what he said we had to do ready to go, so we will see if it works. But I'm kind of excited. We've always kind of toyed around with the idea of doing that, because Cole is somebody that used to come on the show all the time, but obviously he takes over his morning show there on Jocks in Birmingham, and, you can come on the show anymore because you're on air on the same time. So we're going to see if that works. Excited about that at 7:30. But the thing I'm most excited about today is the start of LSU training camp. You are going to see actual players on a football field. You're going to see a team that we have high expectations for. You're going to see a team that a lot of people think are going to play again in Atlanta for the SEC championship. And you have a quarterback that is a true Heisman contender. You have all the pieces to the puzzle. At least we think you have all the pieces to the puzzle to make a special run, not just a last year, a very nice run, an unexpected run, but one that we're kind of expecting LSU to be in every game they play, to win every game that they play in. And if they don't win, maybe lose a game, right? That's the kind of season that we have and the kind of expectations we have for LSU. But I want to go around the room here to start, because with training camp starting, like, we now know who the team is. Now, used to, you would know this during the spring. You know who your team was. Now, you might have some freshmen that would come in and they would play, not right away, but third week of camp, you're like, all right, hey, we can't keep this freshman out of the lineup. But for the most part, in spring practice, you knew who your football team was, and we would break it down and we would talk about positions. Now, you have an idea now, but now with the transfer portal, with guys coming in, guys coming out, like, this is the first time you really get an idea of who truly is going to be your 22, your 44, guys that you count on out there. So I want to go across the room. Mario, we'll start with you. The guy that you're most excited to see how he plays in an LSU uniform as we start training camp.
So we've talked a lot of offense the last couple of days with Taylor. You saw Daniels and Neighbors both on the Maxwell Award list, watch list, but I'm going defense for my pick, and I'm going Omar Spates. Coaches and teammates have been very complimentary of him this offseason. Great player at Oregon State for a long time. First team Pac-12 honors last year, 83 tackles. He's supposed to contribute a lot at LSU. I'm curious to see how he looks in camp.
All right, that is somebody that I would have selected him as well if you didn't. First team All Pac-12 a year ago. Coaches. Second team AP. Don't care. No disrespect to the media. I'm part of the media. Coaches goes so much farther for me when it comes to All SEC, All Pac-12, all whatever. The coaches who watch the tape, who game plan against that player, that's who selected him first team, okay? The AP, it is what it is. I don't even know who got first team AP. I would assume it's from two large schools out there in the Pac-12. But him being first team coaches, and also, like, this wasn't the first time. Like, he has been a freshman All-American in 2019 as well. So it's not just last year. It's not just a one-year flash. I mean, he's done this over his career. And I understand that y'all were not staying up late watching Pac-12 after dark unless you're Ronnie Ranch and you're chasing it at the end of the night. Got a bet out there. I get that, right? And this game that I'm about to talk about, like, you could not find it. It was on the Pac-12 network. But if you can find it, if it lives out there somewhere, go watch Oregon State versus USC. It's a game that you will fall in love with Omar Spates and what he can do. He's all over the place against one of the best offenses in the country. He is making play after play after play. It's where I first noticed him, really. I'm watching the All-22, and I'm like, okay, this guy right here, he'll play on Sundays for a long time. He goes into the portal. I don't know if y'all remember this, but I was excited. I had no idea that he would even think about LSU. I'm like, man, if LSU can find a way to have a conversation with Omar Spates. I didn't know that him and Matt House had a tie, and lo and behold, he's here. He's in Baton Rouge. He went through spring, but I'm more excited to see what he does here in the fall. So, Mario, I agree wholeheartedly. That is a great pick. That's going to be a standout linebacker who is going to allow Harold Perkins to be the X factor. Because if you didn't have an Omar Spates and you were counting on somebody else to play that position, you couldn't allow Harold Perkins to do what he does. Now, you're going to have Greg Penn there as well, another veteran player. So when you have two vets like that, you can be creative with what you do with Harold Perkins. He can line up as a stack backer on the line. Whatever you want him to do, he can do that, knowing you're going to have him covered with two veteran linebackers. All right, Taylor, we'll go to you. Player you're most excited to see here in fall camp as we start.
So when you brought this up, I was going to go Ovia Gofu because he might be the most important guy. Yeah. You know, that edge spot is kind of up for grabs. But I'm going to go to the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to go Caleb Jackson. Highly touted four-star running back recruit out of right here in Baton Rouge. We saw a little bit of Trey Holly in the spring, what he could do. He got a lot of carries in that spring game. Caleb Jackson wasn't here in the spring, so I'm ready to see what he can do.
I like that one as well. I've heard his name probably more recently than I have even months ago. So leading up to it, that's a name that's certainly gaining steam. I mean, even in the chat, I think a couple of people mentioned his name as the player they're most excited to see. Like, for me, like, I would go, if I went like a position group, it'd probably be just like, I want to see the corners. Like, I just want to see what the corners look like. You're talking about 4 transfers that you're counting on with Denver Harris and J.K. Johnson, Alexander, Chestnut. That's a lot. Now, a lot of talent, but that's a lot of new. And it's guys that have done it at other places. They haven't done it here. So, if I was going like complete view, let me look at a position that I'm probably a little concerned about. Now, the talent's great, and I think individually, like, we've seen them make plays, but what's it going to be like when they get together? But if I'm going like just a specific player, what about Aaron Anderson? The return game was crap last year, and I would use another word if I was on another show. I can't, but you know what I want to use. It was awful. It was terrible. It was something where not only was it not a weapon, it was a hindrance. Like, it was something like, you had to hope and pray somebody caught a punt back there. And then if they caught it, you knew. Think about this. You knew you weren't going to return it. I think the longest return last year was 12 yards. and I might be giving you some yards there. I think it was 12 yards. I understand that with spread punt, it's not what it used to be. You can't be out there getting a long of 12 yards at a place like LSU. Not when you've had returners like Kevin Falk and Skylar Green and Trendon Holiday and Buster Davis and Chad Jones and Patrick Peterson and Tyron Matthews. You can't have a 12-yard long on the season. And so, yes, a receiver in the slot, whatever they come up with him game plan-wise on offense, that's great. But on special teams, last year, it was an issue. I would say it cost you games last year. It cost you – I mean, I know it cost you the opener, right? You couldn't field a punt. Tennessee, I realized what the score was. You can't tell me the way that game started, it wasn't all downhill from there, right? You can't catch a kickoff, and then all of a sudden here it comes. It's spiraling on you. Tennessee's in the end zone. You're down 7-0, and you never really gained your footing after that.
Yeah, special teams needs to take a lot of pride from the start of the season, in my opinion.
No question.
Like you said, it was a liability. It needs to be an advantage from for this football team from the start. Got to set that tone in training camp.
And look, there's a situation on the coaching staff where you've got a defensive line coach who is having to take a step back, personal health issues, and we'll get into that. But now you're switching up some coaching on the special team side as well. Now you got a veteran coach in there, and you feel good about it. But, like, you have to make sure that special teams is a priority. And Brian Kelly and what he did this offseason showed you that it is a priority. He realizes what it was. I mean, special teams, 1,000% lost you the first game. Muff punts, block field goals, block extra points. Like, it is a phase of the game. And am I prideful about it? Yeah, absolutely, right? Special teams war daddies like core, all four. You got to be out there because it is a part of the game. I've told y'all this 1,000 times. Let's make it 1,001. I have been on an NFL team that finished first in overall offense, first in overall defense, and didn't make the playoffs because we were 32nd in special teams. Think about that. It's never been done before in the NFL. A team in the NFL, National Football League, was first in offense and first in total defense and didn't make the postseason because our special teams was so bad.
What did that really entail? Was that bad execution, bad job of the coaches, putting personnel out there? How did that come to be?
Our very, very, very veteran snapper, it all started this way. Dave Ben got hurt, hamstring, tore it. We went through snapper after snapper after snapper. Guys, either the snap was slow, couldn't block. We had 2 snappers get punts blocked because they came right through the A gap. We had so many punt blocks. We had so many kickoff returns for a touchdown against us. It was a mess. And that is a phase of the game that it matters. It counts. And so LSU last year, it was certainly in the return game. It was not a strength. It wasn't even close to a strength. I mean, every single time you went out there, you weren't sure what was going to happen, right? They have tried to fix that. They've tried to fix it, bringing in a new special teams coordinator, and also bringing in a guy that they think can be an elite returner in Aaron Anderson. We all know from the state of Louisiana, goes to Alabama, comes back to LSU, and he's going to be counted on. He's going to be counted on to, this seems so elementary, to catch the punt, but also have a long that is longer than 12 yards. So that is a player, yes, offensively, what can you do with him? But more importantly for me, what can Aaron Anderson be in the return game? Just one of many players that we're all looking forward to seeing out there. We'll go through maybe the freshman class here in a little bit throughout the show, just kind of give you an idea of who you're going to see for the first time in an LSU uniform, because I know a bulk of the class has already been here. They've been through spring practice. That is something that is the norm now, but there is players like a Lance Hurd, right? Definitely looks better in 53 than anybody I've ever seen in an LSU uniform. He's going to be out there for the first time. I want to get eyes on that guy. That's a guy that thinks he is going to play this year with an offensive line that doesn't have a spot available for him. But I love the confidence. I love some of the quotes that he has. He's every bit of 6'6", 340 pounds, and it is not sloppy. I mean, that is a guy that is put together, feels like he is ready to play and help this team. We'll see kind of what his role is, and excited to get eyes on him in an LSU uniform. All right, we'll take our first break of the show. Remember, we're going to try something a little bit different in 15 minutes from now. We're going to be on in Birmingham. Birmingham's going to be on with us. We're going to try to be on the same show at the same time. Cole Cubelic in about 15 minutes. We'll be back. More Off the Bench.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Once you go to the website, you'll see the things we tell you about every single day. You can check out cases that they can handle for you. It's got a list. You can also find past client results. So you go to the website, you click on that, you pull up what has happened with past clients. They give you what their experience was. And I can promise you with Gordon, it's going to be a great experience. We always tell you about what they've got going on over at the G team when it comes to LSU athletics and the players that you love and you cheer on. I would encourage you, go to their social media handles. Like, it's always at Get Gordon. Even on the artist formerly known as Twitter, you can still go to x.com and you can see Get Gordon and you can see what they're doing for your favorite athletes. But it's not just LSU athletes. As I mentioned, it is for you as well. So remember, any area code in the state of Louisiana, followed by the 8s, 888-8888, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is
Charles Hannegriff, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from the original walk-ons, Burbank and Nicholson. Jimmy's back from vacation. We're on the LSU practice field. Dwayne Colucci, Matt Humans, and Todd Graffanini from Saints Camp. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into Off the Bench. Did forget a punt returner, kick returner. You know, just list them off the top of my head. Steven reminds me on Twitter, Dominic Davis. Can't forget about Double D. He was an absolute beast, and at running back too. Like sometimes when a player is better at the actual position than returner, not that he wasn't a great returner, he was. Like you kind of forget about them like a lot of people forget Buster Davis was a hell of a punt returner. He's a first-round receiver, so sometimes that gets a little lost. We did mention earlier that we would get to this, and defensive line coach Jimmy Lindsey, and we mentioned that you're going to have a change in the special team staff, but LSU defensive line coach Jimmy Lindsey will step away from the Tigers program to deal with a personal health matter. And so with him stepping away to deal with his personal health matter, John Jantic, who was going to coach the special teams and outside linebackers, he'll serve as the defensive line coach. And so obviously, like, thoughts and prayers with Jimmy Lindsey. I know there was a shot that someone had of an ambulance leaving the facility yesterday. That is never something that you want to see. Now, reports were that it was precautionary and maybe this initial test going on right now, so we don't have any kind of update. But, again, that is something that is incredibly scary anytime you got to have that situation go on. So we'll keep you updated with that. And, you're able now to have a lot of different coaches serving a lot of different roles, analysts, and, we used to, you would have a couple of GAs, and that's basically all that you were able to have. And so you'll have someone on the staff kind of get elevated for special teams as well. So, again, we'll keep you updated with that. And it's a defensive line that a lot of us are paying attention to. It's an outside linebacker room, kind of a jack edge rusher that we're all paying attention to as well. I mean, Taylor, you mentioned that's probably the position that your eyes are going to go to first in LSU camp.
Yeah, it would have to, because you're so deep across the defensive line. Then you got Perkins and Spates on the second level. If you could figure out that edge or jack linebacker, as they call it, I mean, you got a really, really good front seven. I think Ovia Gofu's going to be that guy, but we'll see what happens.
You got candidates. You certainly have that. Now, you have some young players as well, and we've gone through them. We've gone through them 1,000 times here because it is a position that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, and it's the complete opposite of what you have in the trenches, like inside. You have, in my opinion, the best defensive tackle tandem in the country. I don't know that it's particularly close, to be honest with you, but I know, I don't speak in absolutes a lot when it comes to college football. I know you have the best middle of the defense when it comes from the front seven. You have Mekhi Wingo as an All-American. You have Mason Smith, who was a preseason All-American type guy. We know he has the talent to be an All-American at the end of the year. And then you've got Guillory, who's played a lot of football as that rotating piece, okay? You have to love that. You have to love that group. And you've got other guys coming in, too, through the transfer portal. You got guys from Florida, different places that are coming in to be rotating pieces there as well. But we talked about it earlier. Like, the strength of your team, if it's in the middle, you feel really good about it. Like offensively, right? They always talk about going down the line. You got Charles Turner at center. You got Jaden Daniels at quarterback. You got 5 running backs that are going to play. You feel good about that middle as well. But then you go to the defensive side. I already mentioned the defensive tackles. But when you start talking about the linebackers that they have, and look, Greg Penn got a lot better last year throughout the season. I mean, T-Bob and I were pretty hard on Greg Penn at the beginning of the year. He got better and better and better, and by the end of the year, he was somebody you could certainly count on. Well, he right now is going to be your third linebacker in the inside because of the guys we talked about in the first block. You're going to have Harold Perkins right there, who's going to be someone who's going to be all over the place. I cannot wait to see the look on running backs' faces when he's coming through the A-gap and there's all this space and he's got a 3-way go. He can go to the left, he can go to the right, or he can go right through you. And he's going to have that ability. And that's why you move him inside, because you're going to be creative. It's not just, hey, he's on the edge. If I take the inside away, he's got to run the horn. He's going to have a 3-way go. That's going to be very, very dangerous at times. There's not a running back in the country that I would say, yeah, he can block him one-on-one. And then we talked about Omar Spates, kind of being that guy who's going to be sideline to sideline, is going to help you in the run defense game and just everything that he can do for you, being a first-team all-conference type player. So the strength of this LSU team is right down the middle. Now, once you get to the third level, safeties, you've got veteran players. They've got to stay healthy. Brooks, Burns, They are very good players. Burns has had some injury history in his past. If those two guys stay healthy, you're talking about the core of your defense being incredibly strong right there. Now, the depth isn't as big on the back end as it is on the other two levels, and that's going to be a key piece for LSU. All right, we're going to take a break on time actually here because we're going to try to make this work. We'll see if it works when we come back. We're going to be on Jocks. Jocks is going to be on our show. It's going to be great if it works. We'll see. We'll be back off the bench.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Call in Baton Rouge. I'm remembering what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
% off all kitchen cabinet orders of $1,000 or more. Plus, MVP's Pro Rewards members earn double the bonus points on select stock cabinets through August 4th. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Must ask cashier to apply discount barcode at time of purchase. Discount on cabinet purchase only. Coupon cannot be used with any other discount. Valid 7/27 through 8/9. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any.
Cut through the static and listen to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge in high definition. Simply tune to 98.1 and select HD2.
Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 5 brands on one lot. Shop BayouAutomotive.com.
Join me for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Rouse's. Luke Johnson going to check in from Saints Camp, and we'll get you all caught up on day 1 from LSU Fall Camp. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Someone fired the old jukebox.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into Off the Bench here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're going to try this. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. We're going to see if I can be on Cole Cubelic's show and if Cole Cubelic can be on our show at the same time.
To watch the games, enjoy it, or choose from over 100.
Ooh,
I think he's about to be back. I think he's about to be back. I got him in preview here.
Okay. Look, I'm just saying, this is not on Mario. If this doesn't work, it's not on Taylor. Hell, it's not even on Moscona. It's going to be strictly on Cole. This was Cole's idea. So we'll see. We'll certainly see. I was doing radio yesterday, and I do the show sometimes with Cole, and he knew I was on air, and he called me, and I got in a little bit of a panic. I'm like, oh, man, Cole knows I'm on air here. He's calling me here. I don't know, but it was to be on the show. So it sounds like they're in break right now. They're trying to figure it out on their side. So we'll see if they can get it figured out, and hopefully we can have our guy Cole Cubelic on, because, I mean, what a great guy to ask the question that I just talked about.
Yep.
Talking about the middle of your defense, even going across the ball, talking about the center position. I mean, I don't know anybody that knows defense and offensive line play like Cole does, and I really think it's going to be a strength of this LSU football team, but also the offensive line. I mean, what a great resource to ask Cole about that as well. Think about last year. You going into the Florida State game and the conversations that we were having about the offensive line for LSU and what we thought it was going to be. There was questions. I mean, even a guy like Will Campbell, who was all-world, and he was a starter from the second that he got here. Like, you still don't know how that's going to work out. Like, we think, because we've seen it in practice, we've seen it in recruiting, like, we think Will's going to be a really good player. But you just don't know. I mean, he's a freshman. You just don't walk in and start at left tackle at LSU or in the SEC, but he was able to do that. And then, look, Emory Jones was a guard. He was a guard in the Florida State game. We don't see him there. And all of a sudden you're playing Southern. He's starting out there at right tackle. Remember, you had wholesale changes after the first game. You had Dellinger playing center, and then he moves back to guard. Here comes Charles Turner. And remember, that was like a late switch as well during camp. So that wasn't something that you were necessarily counting on. And so, like, when you have a first-game situation where you feel like it goes so bad that you've got to have those wholesale changes, but now here we come, and it's a group that you feel very confident about. And not only, like, in your starters, but in the two deep, like, you feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I think that may be Cole trying to get your attention in preview.
We got it. We're in.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
How
Cole.
you doing, man?
Hey, Cole. What's up, sir? How are you doing?
I don't know. This has been done before. Simulcast on 2 radio shows in 2 different cities. I'm doing great.
Hey, we were hoping that it worked out because we just had like a whole dialogue about offense and defensive line play. And I'm like, I mean, who better to ask than Cole Cubelic? And so, like, I'm actually glad that it's working out because we can't be on each other's show. At least we thought we couldn't be on each other's show, but now here we are, Cole, even though we're on at the same time.
All right, so we will talk about that. We kind of went through Alabama camp starting today, and we're going to hit LSU with you also. But I'm interested, kind of over there in Louisiana. What is the perception of Alabama right now? There are obviously maybe a few more questions than we're used to seeing, but I also think there are just plain and simple a lot more doubters about this team, this program, than we're used to seeing. Where are you on kind of what Alabama is going into camp, and what do you need to try to learn about this team through fall camp?
Well, honestly, Cole, I don't think that necessarily here in Louisiana, like, there's a ton of doubters for Alabama. I think it's believers in LSU, and I truly think that's part of the conversation. I think that people here in Louisiana think LSU has the pieces in place to be a team that can go out there and win the West again. It's not even necessarily, oh, Alabama can't do A, B, and C. Now, the quarterback is probably the biggest question, Cole, because you don't know who it's going to be right now. And when you look at it, if it was just a situation where you went through a spring and you had Ty Simpson, you had Milroe, you had other players fighting for it, and you haven't decided yet, but you feel good about those quarterbacks, then I don't think those questions are being talked about. But because you went and got somebody like a Tyler Buchner from Notre Dame, then that's where the questions start to pop up. Did you not like what you saw in the spring? And a lot of people, you know, there's 1,000 different ways to talk about it. Hey, Tommy Rees was at Notre Dame. He was recruiting Sam Hartman there to be their quarterback when Buchner was on that roster. How much belief does he have in him? So those are really the only concerns that you hear here in Louisiana. But, Cole, I think it's more just about a belief about what LSU has and what LSU can be more than it is, say, an Alabama doubter.
Man, keep in mind, too, with Tyler Buchner, when you have that conversation, this is not his Notre Dame offense that he's coming in and learning. And we've talked about – I talked to Lane Kiffin about that. I talked to Brian Dable about that. I've talked to Bill O'Brien the last few years. They come in and learn Coach Saban's offense. Now, they call it their way, and they call the plays that they want, when they want, how they want, but it is verbally and from a formation standpoint, personnel standpoint, it's Nick Saban's offense. So Simpson and Milroe will have that advantage heading in, even though the relationship with Buchner and Tommy Rees does go back as far as personally how they know one another. And it's hard to discount what you say. There are the quarterback thing is something that's a little bit confusing. And also I agree with you that the confidence should be there in LSU. I mean, you have arguably top 2, top 3 quarterback at worst returning in the SEC. And there's still room for improvement with what you're going to get from Jaden Daniels. You don't have to spend the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season playing chess with your offensive line to figure out who you're going to have. You have one of the most dynamic receiving corps in college football. You got a returning tight end played great, and maybe the best defensive player in college football that's returning. I'm interested to see the usage of Harold Perkins, how much is going to be off the ball, how much is going to be up on the line of scrimmage, rushing the passer, things of that nature. And then some of the transfers that have been brought in are actually going to help, and especially at depth. So there's no reason not to have that confidence, Jacob, with what Brian Kelly was able to pull off year one.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. We're talking about the defensive front. We were talking about Harold Perkins and talking about Omar Spates. I want to throw this one to you, Cole. I mean, best defensive tackle tandem in the country for you at LSU?
It's got to be up there. I think Mason Smith is being it's almost egregious at the level that he is being forgotten or not discussed heading into the season. I realize he was injured in the first game, but I mean he is an absolute monster. I call him a Vince McMahon first round draft pick, just like physically what he is. Like, I mean, it's just you don't see a lot of guys built like that can move like that and do different things that he's able to do. But he's going to be phenomenal. And I thought Wingo was top 2, top 3 most underrated player in the SEC last year. So it might not be the LSU depth after those guys that we're used to seeing a couple of other years, but they're going to be an absolute handful inside. And with what you mentioned, Omar Spates, him adding 12, 13 pounds just since he's arrived in Baton Rouge, playing a little bit of a thumper role as well as being able to go sideline to sideline in that LSU defense. It's going to be tough, man. That's going to give Matt House, I think, the freedom to move Perkins around and do different things with him because the attention that's going to be garnered with those two in the middle.
Now, Cole, obviously, you are talking a ton of Alabama on your show, but you and I have talked a lot of Auburn as well over the last couple of days. I think a lot of us are looking for who's going to be that third team, who's going to be the third team that challenges, and there's a lot of different answers that you're going to get. I mean, obviously, Mississippi State finished there last year, but, we've also talked about, Will Rogers is going to do a lot of first here today as they start training camp as far as taking a snap under center and turning his back to the defense, all those things that we've talked about. Where are you at as far as somebody's going to challenge the two teams we've talked about?
I want to do this real quick. I just want to kind of do like a quick reset. We're both radio professionals, but I don't think we know like who's playing quarterback here. So because neither one of us used that. But since I did play center and I had the ball first, I'm going to say
there we go.
Jacob Hester is joining us on our Bud Light hotline, and we are also airing on Off the Bench in Louisiana. You can hear it 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, everywhere. So Jacob Hester, former LSU fullback, former LSU 18. That's all we have to say. That's all you need to know. So just wanted to kind of let the folks know what we're doing here, but both shows at the same time. It's like Gucci and Bally. We're getting this thing going. I don't know, Jacob. I think it may be the most interesting question in all of college football heading into this season, and that is how the middle of the SEC West plays itself out. Because with what Auburn has added from a talent perspective, now you still got to organize it, and guys got to be motivated to be on the same page. That's a lot of new that have not played football together, but the talent will be drastically different than what it was a season ago when that team was 5-7. Scored 297 points last year, by the way. Only A&M and Vandy scored fewer points than Auburn. That offense will be different. We know A&M's got the roster to do it. There were injuries. There were guys that walked away from the program. There were guys that needed to be off that program, off that roster, that are now gone that potentially could help, and you now have somebody who maybe pre-snap is going to give your offense a little bit of a different presentation. I love some of the additions that Ole Miss has made. I think Pete Golding, the structure of that defense, Jacob, they'll be 20-25% better against the run just based on structure. And then you go get a Joshua Harris, who from NC State, a real SEC body at defensive tackle, who I think can also be active inside, can be a problem inside. They haven't had a ton of guys like that recently. You're going to add him inside. And then you go up to Nebraska, and you get another SEC body type at defensive tackle who may not be as athletic, but a guy who can come in and Stephon Wynn Jr. and give you reps there. You've been waiting on J.J. Pegues to come around. He has the athleticism, but he's a big physical body inside. You go get the best pass rusher in the portal and Isaac Ukwu. And obviously what they did at wide receiver in the portal was Sakari Franklin from UTSA. You go out and you get a couple of different receivers that I think are going to be able to help you. Trey Harris from La Tech, a kid that I really like. You got the best running back in college football. So, but we haven't seen it all together. We don't really know. Arkansas might have the best quarterback running back combination returning in the SEC, but there are a lot of other new offense, new defense. What's the offense even going to look like? We don't know. And then you and I both love Will Rogers, but you and I both sat there and talked to Will Rogers at media days, and it might be more different from him than it's going to be for anybody in college football this fall.
That poor guy. One time, Cole. That man told us one time he's taking a snap under center.
And has never turned his back to a defense.
Oh, man. That's an interesting team. 8 returning starters on offense, 4 returning starters. I would say it's more like 6 because of who they've rotated in. And the 6 that have returned on defense are like as veteran can be, but I just don't know because of all the new on offense.
Well, and you got a first-year head coach. So, that's just even look at Coach Kelly last year and how they had to adapt things with the quarterback. It took a few games. The offensive line had to move around a little bit. How they had to figure it out with Harold Perkins, and then he becomes a legitimate playmaker. It takes time. There will be mistakes along the way. But you bring up a point that I think a lot of people are missing on Mississippi State, and it's where those veterans are on defense. You have maybe 2 of the most battle-tested linebackers in all of college football, and they may not be the most athletic or the fastest or the most gifted, but they've probably seen more than any other pair of linebackers in college football. And you got a bunch of dudes up front that have played. You got some big bodies that can be disruptive with an aggressive defense that I do think Zach Arnett taking a little step away is going to help them maybe not be as egregious with some of the pressure and how aggressive they are. And that could help that defense out as well.
Did you just hit Jet Johnson with the jack of all trades, master of none, workout warrior, last one, fast one in, last one out?
I did actually try to combine him with Bookie Watson, as in they've both seen a lot. So I tried not to go down your path there, but yes, I guess I was beginning to take that turn. We talk about those football labels a lot here on this show and how frustrating they can be.
And I'm enjoying the hell out of this, by the way. Thank you for setting it up, Cole. But we've gone like 12 minutes and hadn't talked about the team that we always talk about together in Kentucky.
I have Kentucky second in the East, and I know a lot of people don't like that.
I do too. I put them second in my ballot, SEC Media Days.
And it's kind of like what we talked about with the West, Jacob. We can go through all it's Alabama, LSU, then the other teams. It's Georgia, then the other teams. All those other teams have multiple big question marks. I think Kentucky has one. I think it's that offensive line. And I think you get one in from Northern Illinois and Marquez Cox that will lock one side down. So now you have to find a right tackle. You have a really good group of tight ends that can help with that. You and I talked to Coach Stoops at SEC Media Days. He loves this tight end group. Nobody knows about Ray Davis. Nobody knows about Devin Leary. Yeah. Best wide receiver room they've ever had. Defense is going to be fine. I love the start of the season, by the way. You got a chance to build up a ton of momentum with the way that schedule begins.
I agree with you there. I don't think your producer agrees, though. He was shocked.
No, he's a big Tennessee guy. I will give him credit, Jacob. Damian had Tennessee winning 10 games last year, so I will give him credit. We all said he was crazy, and he was wrong, by the way. They won 11, but still, he was one of the few that picked them to win 10.
Hey, I am excited, though. Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, like behind Georgia, feels like it might not be as sexy as what's happening over in the West, but I'm here for it.
All right, where are you on Missouri? Because there are a lot of people that are starting to have some real expectations for Missouri, that they think they can be maybe challenged to be that second best team in the East. I kind of don't see it. I do see what there is to like.
Right.
Obviously a solid wide receiver core. I love Javon Foster at left tackle. The defense, Blake does a great job with that group. They're going to be disruptive up front, but 8-9 wins. I not with the beginning of that schedule. It's brutal.
Yeah, Blake Baker has a lot of fans here in Baton Rouge as well. I think he is one of the better young defensive coordinators in the country. Just look what he did. multiple times last year, certainly against Georgia. I mean, Drink not calling the plays. I got to see how that looks. I think they made a good move at coordinator, but Drink not calling plays. Let's see how that looks. And kind of like going back to your first question about LSU and Alabama, like it's more of a Kentucky, Tennessee, and South Carolina love and not Missouri hate. But those three teams that are above them, and we know Georgia's above them, that's why I can't put Missouri higher than 5th. Now, I had them firmly at 5th. I got Florida 7th in the East, by the way.
Oh!
I got
Wow.
Vanderbilt 6th and Florida 7th in the East.
Well, we know what that's turned into recently. There's a lot of hate between LSU and Florida in the last couple of years. That thing's gotten sideways. I get it, so I understand. Listen, it is a little bit different than the West, but in somewhat of a similar fashion. The question marks are going to be so intriguing, man. Like, what if they do get the run game going in Montreal and ATN? Then they can develop some play action, and Boston Armstrong can get the defense going a little bit. I don't know.
Boston Armstrong, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they can win 9, but I just don't know if I see Florida as being 7th.
Hey, Vandy beat them last year.
threat.
Clark Lee, fullback, low man wins. It's grit, neck rolls, and low man wins, and Clark Lee's got all of it.
Hand in that date, as we say on this show. Hey, I want to ask you one question because we both have to kind of get out of here.
Yeah.
So you're driving today, like I'm driving today. No T-Bob, so no Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
You guys aren't talking Nintendo. Like
Nope.
there's no Star Wars. You're not comparing lightsabers.
No, it's a lot of ball today.
A lot of ball today. How much of your conversation will be realignment? Because I'm about over it. I've about had it. Like, let's just when it happens, then we can talk about it. But all the projecting, I'm not really into it anymore.
I am right there with you because I think it takes away from the most important thing, which is on the field success. Like when we're talking Pac-12, I don't give a damn about media rights anymore. Like I'm tired of talking about that. I want to talk about the 6 football teams out there that I think are going to be really good. When it comes to the ACC and Florida State, I think them and Clemson are in for a battle to see which team, wins the ACC and has a chance at the college football playoff. When it comes to the Big 12, like you've done a great job adding those 4 teams, like just hang out, just chill for a little bit. And then the Big 10 and Oregon and Washington. Yeah, I'm ready because I thought once we got here, once the calendar flipped to August, Cole, we'd be done with all that because I think it's disrespectful to what we're going to see on the field. Now, I know it's a part of it and players and coaches, they can't handle that, but like there's so many things that are being talked about. And we're not talking about the actual football that we're going to see in a couple of places that I think it's going to be really good. And the Pac-12 and the ACC with those 2 top teams and all the conversation is surrounding things that are outside of the actual football field, which, again, once I thought we got to August, we wouldn't talk about those things as much. But it's dominating headlines.
All right. Well, the one thing that you think you can learn, that you want to learn about LSU through fall camp?
I think it's the offensive line because I'm really, really high on them. I just talked about them before you came on. I think they're going to be one of the best units in the conference. If they have an injury, if they have 2 injuries, what is that going to look like? So I need to see the young guys. Look out for Lance Hurd. Look out for that name, Cole. He is a true freshman. LSU's not afraid to play a true freshman, but I need to see that group stay healthy because they're one of the reasons why I've got LSU so high. It's because of the offensive line. The first 5, I need to see what's behind them. What about for you? Auburn, Alabama, any question marks you're looking at training camp?
Yeah, with Alabama, it's which freshmen are going to play a big role. Caden Proctor, left tackle, Caleb Downs, safety, Justice Haynes, running back. How much of a role are they going to play? Obviously quarterback, but I don't think we get that before game 1. With Auburn, it's just probably comfort level in the offense and how the transfers can gel in. Like, can they get this thing figured out, man? Is that offensive line really going to be different? Because you get a starting center from ECU, a starting left tackle from Tulsa that can play. You add a couple others that might be able to help. We'll see. I need to see if that continuity is there. So it's going to be fun. Thanks for doing this, Jake.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling me and setting this up, Cole. Next time that we're hosting Solo together, let's just assume we're going to do this every time we host Solo.
Let's do an hour next time. Just knock the whole thing out.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Cole.
There you go. Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks, Cole. Appreciate it. That is Cole Cubelic. First time I've ever done that. I mean, have you ever heard of 2 shows going on at one time in different states?
Nah, Showception. That was awesome. Shout out to his producers and to Cole for making that work.
Now, like if we had like all 4 voices in here, maybe it would have been a little clunky, but that was a lot of fun. So, if I'm solo, if T-Bob's solo, now we know we have the ability. We'll just kick McElroy out of the booth anyway, and we'll just have Cole on the show. All right,
I support that.
We are long for a break. We got to take that break now. More OTB when we come back.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps. Your roots are planted deep inside of me.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-26.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Camp is here. We'll be out at LSU Fall Camp Day 1. We'll have a camp report, and you'll hear from Brian Kelly. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Shout out to Cole Cubelic for setting that up, man. I really, really enjoyed that. Next time we'll do it. We'll just have to go like 25 minutes, maybe set the breaks up where we have the ability to do that. Because if you've listened to Off Campus when Cole and I get together, breaks feel like they're optional because we just kind of keep going. But that was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do that again in the future. Something I know we can do in the future is have Terrell on the show. Covers the Saints for ESPN. We'll dive into some New Orleans Saints headlines as they are well into training camp now. So looking forward to that conversation with Cat. We'll have that for you to kick off hour number 2 of OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to RejuveMeMedical.com. There you can find what we tell you about every single day. They are the age-defying clinic, and you'll see the conditions that they can treat for you. Because we tell you every single day, you might have something going on. You just don't know what it is. You don't feel like yourself. You don't have the energy that you used to have. Well, they can help you out there. Go get those labs checked, right? It's something that everyone should do. You go get them checked, and they tell you exactly where you need help. It can be fatigue and insomnia, mood and memory problems, weight gain. That's something we always talk about. You're either gaining weight or you're working out hard, you're eating right, and you can't lose weight. You're either staying the same or you're gaining a little weight and you don't really know what's going on. They can get to the bottom of it over at Rejuve Medical, but they can't get to the bottom of it if you don't set up that consultation that we tell you about every single day as well. In the top right corner of the website, RejuveMeMedical.com, you can get it set up or you can give them a call, 866-329-8191.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Good morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. on Thursday, August 3rd. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 100. Coming up on OTB, Kat Terrell of ESPN joins the show to talk Saints. Up next, Wilson Alexander of The Advocate joins us at 8:30, and we have a new edition of Munchies with Chef Michael Johnson at 9:15. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, also New Orleans, Alexandria, and 11:30 a.m. The Tiger up in Shreveport. Mario, I almost hope that you just stopped giving weather updates because you just told us how hot it is and how hot it's going to be. But someone that doesn't need that weather update because she's been out at Saints camp and knows exactly how hot it is outside, that is Kat Terrell, who joins us now, of course, Saints reporter for ESPN. Kat, we all get excited for training camp. We all look forward to it. But as someone who covers the team, you don't need a weather update.
Actually, it's great to listen to the high being 100 today when the Saints are off today, and I don't have to go stand in it. I just sit in my AC all day and think about how much money it's going to cost to run the AC all day.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes, that is very fair. You do appreciate the off days during training camp as a player or coach, someone who covers the team. And so we appreciate you joining us on that off day. We were talking about LSU earlier and like things that we were most excited about or things that we were going to maybe pay closer attention to as camp starts today for LSU. But now the Saints, they're in camp. Like it's been days now. They've had padded practices. But what was the thing that you were trying to maybe eye hustle at the very beginning? Something or a player, a position group that you wanted to take a look at first, Kat?
Well, I think for maybe the third year in a row, everyone's wondering how Michael Thomas is going to perform, if he's going to stay healthy, how he looks, things like that. So, I think a lot of us looking at Michael Thomas, as everyone knows now, they signed Jimmy Graham right before camp, same deal. So really, the Saints, their identity for so many years was having a good offense, and the last 3 or so years, they've kind of been getting worse and worse. And so the fact that they could have a good offense this year, I think, is exciting to fans. And that's kind of what people are looking at. They know that their defense is probably going to be pretty good. That's kind of been the cornerstone for a few years. So, that's what I'm watching right now, how Derek Carr is working with his pass catchers.
I don't know that if we did a deep dive, probably find a comp for a guy like Michael Thomas. I mean, he was on like Hall of Fame level. Like he looked like he was going to have a gold jacket in Canton with the numbers he was putting up early in his career. And then we all know how the last couple of years have gone. Like there's just not a comp that I can think of. Like we've had guys that have been really, really good, but they're still on the field. They just don't produce at the same level. But like it's hard to find a comp. I mean, you're talking about an offensive player of the year, and so it's hard to put an expectation on what to expect from Michael Thomas, because are you going to get what we saw early in his career? Are you going to get another injury-plagued season? It's just so hard for us to like figure out what's going to happen. But for the Saints, like to kind of place him as receiver one when you've got Olave and you've got Rashid Shaheed and others trying to take over that spot, like do the Saints view him, Kat, as like, hey, you're the number one guy. We are building this offense, not around you, but there's going to be a lot of things for you?
Actually, I think they kind of look at it differently now. And not really because of the injuries and things like that, but obviously that factors in. I think they look at their offense, and I was talking to an assistant coach the other day. He said, Michael Thomas is not going to have 149 catches this year, and he shouldn't. He said we have enough pieces around him that he's not going to have to do that. And I think that's always a good thing. I was joking with him and saying, if he has 149 catches, that probably means something else went very wrong. Someone got hurt. And so I don't think they feel like the offense has to be featured around him. They've added a lot of new faces. They've really tried to do everything that they could to turn this offensive issue around. And obviously it starts with the quarterback. That was a big part of the issues last year. But, I think last year also they did go into the season thinking, okay, Michael Thomas is finally healthy. This is the guy. And then it started out great, and then he gets hurt. And at that time, Chris Olave was a rookie, and Rashid Shaheed had a great conversation with him the other day. He was saying he only learned one position because a year ago he was an undrafted rookie who was hurt. Yeah. So now he's learning more positions. And they have Jamal Williams now. So they have a lot more pieces now so that he doesn't have to be the focal point of the offense.
Another position that they've got a couple of pieces, Kat, that we were really worried about, certainly after the draft, because they didn't select a tight end. But now you look up and you look at the tight end room. I mean, they're going to be part of the pieces that we're talking about on offense. And you've got multiple tight ends. You have multiple different skill sets as well in that room. I mean, you have 4 guys that at least we think right now are going to be up on game day ready to go.
Yeah, it's a very interesting room. You have Taysom Hill, who said he's pretty much done everything except really be a receiver. I think in 18 maybe it was, he caught 19 passes, and that was the most he's ever caught in a season. Might be wrong on those numbers, but they haven't really featured him as a pass catcher the last few years.
Right.
He said they wanted to do more of that. We'll see if that happens. But you have Juwan Johnson, who they re-signed. Really, I feel like I say up and coming, but he led all the pass catchers in touchdowns last year. Foster Moreau has already proved himself. The big question is Jimmy Graham. How much did they get out of Graham at 36? And I really don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And it's weird for me because I covered Graham the first time around. He was catching 16 touchdowns a year. But if he's got something left, I think that's a really fascinating room to figure out how they all fit together.
Yeah, so we feel good about the skill position players for the New Orleans Saints. I think one of the question marks as we continue breaking down the offense has to be the offensive line. Now, because of injuries and Trevor Penning, and I've had Liz Frank, I mean, it is a brutal injury, and coming back from it, it is very difficult, and it's hard to even feel like yourself once you do come back from that injury. So we'll see where his health and what his status is, but he's not the only guy. I mean, you bring in Trey Turner for a reason, and then he gets hurt, and then now Trey Turner's out. So do the Saints bring in another veteran player like that? It just feels like there's question marks because of health, because of inconsistency. I mean, Andrews Pete, surprise, yet again, right? He goes out with an injury. So where are you at with the offensive line right now?
Yeah, right now, as I see it, I feel like Pete's job is not safe, even if he comes back healthy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think that was kind of obvious when he took a pay cut to come back. It's usually in those situations it's pay cut or be cut. And so I think just as it is right now, it seems like James Hurst probably has the lead on that left guard spot, and then they're going to want to play Penning at left tackle. I really think they want their first-round pick starting this year. Whether he's ready or not, I don't know, because not only did he have, the Liz Frank injury, he had the toe injury at the beginning of last season. So, for him, he's barely even gotten time to play. So there are some concerns about the offensive line as a whole, which is kind of unfortunate because I felt like I wrote as recently as 2 years ago that they were the best unit on the team. But, that's just how it goes sometimes with injuries.
Yeah, and you've put so much draft capital into that offensive front, multiple first-round picks. I mean, early first-round picks, and you've really said, hey, even a second-round pick in Eric McCoy. I mean, you have put so much into it, and so obviously it's something that you thought you had shored up. But I want to ask you, if Hurst goes down to guard and he's kind of your swing tackle, where does the depth go there then? Because who would be that swing tackle for you? Would it still be Hurst, and then you throw in another guard? If Andrews Pete is healthy, he would just be the guy that inserts himself?
Well, it definitely, Hurst has proved that he can play, multiple spots. So I guess you move him inside, and he could still be he'd probably be backup left tackle number one.
Yeah.
But, Landon Young can also be a backup tackle. So there are a couple of guys, but the way they keep signing guards makes me think that they are concerned about that, as they have a right to be. It makes total sense why they went and got Trey Turner, a veteran who could compete for that spot. He gets hurt immediately, and then you can't rely on Andrews Pete to play a full season. So, really your backup tackles right now are Landon Young and Hurst, and they're just going to have to keep looking for guards. I don't think that there's some savior out there. I think it's going to be like waiver wire claims and things like that. But, we'll see.
Kat, let's go across the ball. Let's talk some defense. And obviously, when the defensive conversation on this show starts, it usually goes to edge rusher and who's going to be opposite Cam Jordan. And we've talked a lot and many conversations about a guy like Peyton Turner. Now also Carl Granderson because of what he's done as well. But Peyton Turner, he's somebody with Marcus Davenport doesn't help Peyton Turner. Like you had this guy who's a first-round pick. You trade up for him, and he has flashes, but never really panned out the way you thought he was going to. And then you draft another edge rusher in Peyton Turner, and kind of the same situation. He just hasn't been on the field. Where is Peyton Turner right now with this New Orleans Saints team?
Well, I'm reluctant to even say this because, as you know, people can look great in camp, and then in the regular season they just disappear. It happens all the time. It's happened with Turner before, although his main issue has been injuries. I think that he's had a lot of nice days at camp. I thought yesterday, when they were in the pads, he had a really great day. I noticed, he had a lot of pressures. He had a nice run stuff. But, it's not enough. He's got to just keep doing this day after day throughout camp because they drafted Isaiah Foskey, and he is a guy I have not noticed at all, which, as a rookie, that's, to be expected. So Turner's got to take a huge step up because if he doesn't, I truly don't know what that pass rush is going to look like. I mean, Cam Jordan is not getting any younger. Carl Granderson, I think, had the nice end to the season last year, and I think, he is an improving player. But, where's that next superstar pass rusher? They haven't found it yet. As you said, they tried to find it in Davenport, and he showed flashes, but there's just been no one who's done it consistently. So right now, pass rush is a concern, but I feel like once we get to the preseason games, if Turner can put something together there, then maybe I'll be more willing, I guess, to believe that, hey, maybe he's going to take that next step in his third year. But so far, so good.
Yeah, and then last year you had to be creative because you had to find something opposite Cam Jordan, and that was Caden Ellis from the linebacker position. Like, he gave you rush ability, and then now he's an Atlanta Falcon, and so it's like, okay, well, who can take over that spot? That's not easy. And, as far as middle linebacker goes, like, you feel really good about Demario Davis and Pete Warner, but after that, then that gets cloudy as well. And so, like, there's a couple of positions where you feel good about the initial depth, but it's like, okay, well, who's going to take over that Caden Ellis role? Is there anybody? And what if Demario goes down? I mean, if Demario Davis goes down, Kat, on this football team, like, that's a doomsday situation for them.
Yeah, I think the linebacker depth is the biggest concern on the team. They just had another injury yesterday when Andrew Dow went down for the season. And, Dow, his main role was special teams, but, that's really important too. And now that's depth that they don't have anymore. Right. That was unexpected, as camp injuries always are. And so when you look at just the linebacker group as a whole, yeah, maybe they're a team that can get away with having a little less depth because they play so much nickel. But, yeah, if Demario's not playing, I mean, you can say that about any team if they lose their star player, but that is highly concerning. I do think that DeMarco Jackson has looked really good all throughout summer. At least he's made a lot of plays. I've noticed his name a lot. I noticed he made a play yesterday. He was hurt last year in his rookie season, so it's not a name that a lot of casual fans know. But other than that, I think they're going to have to look for another linebacker. And I feel like the Saints are often in this position. It's often like coming up in September and they have to trade for a linebacker or add another one. But usually they're not giving up too much to that at that point in the season. It just wouldn't surprise me if they have to kind of resort to that.
Yeah, DeMarco Jackson is somebody that if you haven't watched his tape from App State, you need to because there's promise there. He did get hurt very early last year. I believe it was in training camp. But he's a player that I'm excited about if he can stay healthy and if he can get on the field because there's some real juice to him at that position. Hey, Kat, you're the best. We appreciate you joining us on your off day. I know you're trying to do some things. You're trying to sit in the air condition. You were trying to get a workout in, so we appreciate you fitting us into the schedule.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and Saints will be back at it this time tomorrow, really.
Yeah, well, yeah, that AC doesn't last very long. We apologize
It
for that.
doesn't.
Have a good day.
All right, you too.
All right, that was Terrell, Saints reporter for ESPN, giving us a full breakdown on what's going on there at Saints camp. Do not love the edge rusher answer. Just absolutely not at all do I love what just happened there. But we'll talk about it when we come back. It is OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com is the website. If you're looking to buy new, if you're looking to lease, and if you're looking to rent. Now, don't forget about the pre-owns as well, but we always tell you, if you're looking to buy new, remember you can go on their website, right there on the homepage, click on new, go down to Build Your Toyota, and you can customize it however you want it. So if you want the murdered out Mini like T-Bob has, black on black on black, you can do that. If you want the Stormtrooper look, where you've got white, black on black, you can do that as well. You can do whatever you want. You can take things away as well. If you're like, hey, this feature, it doesn't really benefit me or my family, let's take it away, you can do that. So customize that vehicle however you want it. And again, you can do it right there on the homepage under the new tab. Also, we tell you about the rentals. I realize that summer vacations are probably over, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to need a rental. Maybe you've got a tournament coming up and you've got the equipment in the back, you got the luggage in the back, and you don't have the room. Well, you have the room with a Sequoia. You can rent that today. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
Sandegriff, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from the original walk-ons, Burbank and Nicholson. Jimmy's back from vacation. We're on the LSU practice field. Dwayne Colucci, Matt Humans, and Todd Graffinini from Saints Camp. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Vibe check. Gotta get a vibe check here in the room. We just had Kat Terrell, who covers the Saints for ESPN, on, and she said a lot of good things. There was a lot of positive talk. Liked what she said about the receivers and the tight ends and the backs, even the offensive line. They, okay, it's a plan. Even linebacker, big question mark. I'm like, maybe. Edge rusher, didn't love it. Did not love the answer. I mean, in fact, someone who has been out there every single day and covers a team at a very high level, when they say, I hadn't really seen Isaiah Foskey, doesn't make me feel great because we know Peyton Turner and his history with the team. Vibe check. Mario, how do we feel about that?
Not great. They really need somebody to step up there. Hopefully Carl Granderson can step up and be that edge rusher. Linebacker is definitely a concern going into the season, man. I think a lot of people are underestimating maybe the loss of Caden Ellis and what its impact will be. Not only does he lead the Saints, but he's playing for the Falcons now. So he's somebody who might be tough to replace unless somebody we don't expect steps up there, both as a starter and providing depth. That position looks a little concerning right now.
Ooh, that Cam Jordan has just been such a staple and just everything that you want when you select someone in the first round. And I think he's going to be a future Hall of Famer at the end of his journey.
Yeah, we talked about it with Big Fave yesterday. They haven't really found that complimentary edge rusher with Cam since Junior Gillette was still playing. That was like almost 10 years ago. They've been looking for that guy opposite Cam ever since then.
Well, you had Trey Hendrickson, and then you traded him away.
Yeah, and Trey for the couple of seasons he was here. And as Taylor said, wasn't able to keep him.
Yeah, I mean, he had that one monster year, but you had so much already in, Marcus Davenport. You had 2 first-round picks in him. And so when you make the decision, hey, do we sign Trey long-term? Do we have the ability to do that? Or do we bet on the guy that we traded a first-round pick for and selected with a first-round pick? Then you're probably going to fall back on that guy. But he did not give you the consistency. Again, flashes. More flashes than Peyton Turner's given us, but he just did not give you what you expected him to give you. And make no mistake about it, that is as important of a position as any in football. I mean, it goes, in my opinion, quarterback, and then the discussion is left tackle, edge rusher. And I probably put edge rusher number 2 on my list. With the way that quarterbacks dominate the league, with the way that passing dominates the league now, well, how do you stop that? You get after the quarterback, and you make him uncomfortable. And so that has to be something on your team that you feel really good about heading into the season. You feel good about one side. Even with Cam Jordan getting up there in age, you know what you're going to get. You know he's still going to be a consistent player. You know that every team that plays the Saints is going to game plan around 94. He's still that kind of player. But you need somebody else. I think Carl Granderson right now gives you more than the names that we're talking about. And you have to be willing to go out there and play him. Now, the Saints have shown that they will do that, but you don't put Peyton Turner in there if he hasn't earned it. I know he's a first-round pick, but that doesn't matter. That was another coach that selected him as a first-round pick. If you feel like Carl Granderson gives you a better opportunity, you play that player. I don't care that he wasn't a first-round pick. Like Isaiah Foskey, you got some draft capital on him too. Second-round picks aren't just something you throw away. But if he's not ready, if he doesn't flash, according to Kat Terrell, he hasn't shown up yet, you play Carl Granderson, right? So that's my hope. My hope is that they play the guy that deserves to be in there. They don't look at where guys were drafted. And if you're thinking, they just want to win, they won't do that. Yeah, they will. Trust me, y'all have heard me tell my story 1,000 times. I'm in Denver. We're in 2 minutes. I catch a 60-yarder, the longest my little stubby legs will run, angle route. They bring 2 off the edge. I convert. It's supposed to be a flat. I turn it into an angle route. Peyton Manning hits me in stride. I split the middle of the defense, go the distance. And I'm like, did I just become the third down back here for the Broncos? I see John Elway walk over to John Fox and Adam Gase, our offensive coordinator. He points to Monty Ball, who they just selected in the second round, and says, I want him on third downs now. And that was the last third down rep that I took with the ones at training camp. The last rep I took with the ones was a 60-yard touchdown because GMs and teams, they want their guys that they drafted up and ready to play. It happens across the league. My hope is that the Saints, because they're down the road a little bit, with Peyton Turner, that they give the best player the best opportunity. And if that's him, that is awesome. That is great. That is exactly where you want to be. But they need something. They need help at that position. Because when you look at the rest of the Saints defense, I think you feel good about it. You feel good about the secondary with Lattimore and Paulson Adebo. And obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about the battle that they're going to have with Alontae Taylor, a very versatile player who's probably going to slide in and be your nickel. We know what Tyron can give you. Marcus May, I'm expecting a bounce-back year from him. You went out and you got Jonathan Abram. You got Howden in the draft. So, like, you've got guys there really thin at linebacker, but you've got two that you feel good about. Man, a lot of the Saints season feels like it's going to come down to that edge rusher. And that position's just been something that's kind of been a bugaboo for the Saints for a long time now. All right, we've got to take a break because when we come back, we'll get back to LSU. Wilson Alexander will join us. We're going to give you an update on training camp and also something very, very unique. And I don't use that word lightly, but very unique. And I know that's kind of contradicting itself there when you say very and unique. But listen, LSU is going to give out injury reports. This is not the NFL. You do not have to do this, but LSU is going to do it. We'll ask Wilson why they're doing it when we come back here on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to centralplumbing.org, centralplumbing.org. Now, the good thing is T-Bob's out of town, so he's not taking up all of Central Plumbing's time because he cannot clog his situation. But if you have a situation that maybe it's clogged, maybe you got some leaks and you got running water, whatever it might be, remember 24/7 emergency service. 225-925-8552 is the number. 24/7 does mean 24/7, so it doesn't matter what time it is. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday, if it's a weekend. They will come out and they'll fix your problem and give you that peace of mind. But remember, it's not only in emergencies. If you're looking to upgrade, and that's at your home or your business, they can come in, give you a consultation, tell you exactly what they can do for your space. And remember, you'll see on the homepage, there's not a job that's going to be too big. They've got the fleet ready to go. So go to their website, centralplumbing.org. Check out what they can do for you. 225-925-8552.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206 9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Join me for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's. Luke Johnson going to check in from Saints Camp, and we'll get you all caught up on day one from LSU Fall Camp. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Let's get back to the LSU discussion, and to do so, going to be joined now by Wilson Alexander, of course, of The Advocate. Give him a follow on, well, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Does great work keeping up with LSU as they start training camp. Wilson, we appreciate your time. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jacob. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, before we get started, man, congratulations on the Edward Ashkoff Rising Star Award, man. That is a big deal. You absolutely deserve it, man. Happy for you, but congratulations on that.
Thank you, Jacob. It was an honor to receive that here recently from the FWAA, and just to be attached to something with Edward's name on it. I never got to know him personally, but I've heard so many good things about him and the work that he did, you know, uplifting young journalists and just the passion that always came through in his work when I would see him on TV. So it was an honor to be recognized in that kind of a way.
Yeah, and absolutely, like I said, you deserve it. So congratulations again. And I want to start talking LSU and on the field, but there's a couple of things off the field, certainly, that I want to ask you about before we get started. And the first thing is something we talked about early in the show. Jimmy Lindsey, defensive line coach for LSU, obviously personal health matter. We saw the picture that was posted. I believe Cobble had it, WBRZ, where he was leaving in an ambulance yesterday and precautionary checks were going on. So, like, what's the latest you're hearing there with Jimmy Lindsey?
Yeah, he was taken in an ambulance away from the facility on Tuesday, and they released that news last night about what changes would be made. The severity and nature of the issue he's dealing with is not known at this time. I think it was key, though, in Brian Kelly's statement that he said that they are looking forward to Jimmy's return to the program. So that there's an indication there that he will be coming back at some point in time. But how long he is going to be out and what he's dealing with is unclear at this moment. We'll talk to Brian Kelly after practice today and be sure to ask him at least about a timeline. He's not probably going to get specific about what Jimmy's dealing with because, like they said, that's a personal health matter.
Right.
But at least the timeline of when he might be back, maybe we can get some clarity on that. In the meantime, of course, LSU has to shuffle its coaching staff here on the eve of preseason camp. And Bob Diaco, has been with Kelly multiple times during their careers and was his defensive coordinator right at the beginning at Notre Dame, is going to be now an on-field role and an important one with the outside linebackers involved in special teams.
Yeah, so definitely thinking of Coach Lindsey, hopefully a speedy recovery, and he's able to get back with this LSU football team. But another thing that was off the field before we get started, I'm sitting there having dinner last night, and I'm watching, I think it was College Football Live, and one of your tweets pops up, and it was LSU is going to update injuries during the season more like an NFL team. Per the school, Brian Kelly will report players as probable, doubtful, etc., with the location of their injury on Mondays and Thursdays. There will then be a pregame availability report. That was surprising to say the least to me. I mean, this is not something that you have to do in college football. Now, I think you should have to do it in college football, but you don't have to. In the NFL, we know you have to. Like, that kind of caught me completely off guard, Wilson. What's maybe the story and the details behind that?
It's fascinating because this is more like an NFL or NHL teams do something similar as well with a standard injury report. And like you said, nobody else that I know of in college football really does this. There are coaches that are transparent about the injuries that their teams are going through, more so than others. But I think I've ever seen just like an injury report that comes out, twice a week, and then the availability one before games. And it's interesting that this is coming out, and I'd be interested to ask Brian Kelly about this more, when we get the chance to follow up with him about it. That this is happening right on the heels of so much sports gambling coming into college football, and the way we've seen just recently players get caught up in gambling, and of course LSU is saw almost up close in some ways. The Alabama head coach, with being involved in the sports betting scandal here before game against LSU, and what this is going to do is maybe take some pressure off of anybody in the program trying to get the people like aren't going to maybe be coming to them as often and pestering them or something like that for any potential insider info that could become a major issue in something like that. And I don't know about the impetus for the thinking here, but it is sort of an effect of it is that it might be able to avoid some problems that other programs are having on the sports gambling front.
I'm curious to see if like this would be a decision maybe by each individual conference. If Greg Sankey and the SEC, if they're like, hey, we'd like to get this done. Like, do you think it would get to that level? Do you think we'll see more teams do this? Or do you think this is just something where LSU is going to be the only one?
For now, I believe LSU will be the only one. It's my understanding that the SEC has talked about these things in the past, but never gotten to a point where it's going to be there. And I reached out to the SEC spokesman, who we all know around here, Herb Vinson, used to be at LSU. After LSU, came out with this, and he said that that's an LSU-only policy. That right now they're the only team that's going to be doing that, and unless something changes, the rest it's not going to become a league-wide thing.
All right, Wilson, let's get to the on-the-field talk. Training camp starts today. It starts this morning. We're all looking forward to it. To begin the show today, we went around the room and talked about the player that we were most excited to see in an LSU uniform. Now, you cover the team on a daily basis. You've seen some of these guys, but is there someone in particular, and maybe you even saw them in the spring, or maybe it's a freshman that you can't wait to get your eyes on?
Mason Smith.
Yeah.
Even though we've seen him in an LSU uniform before, it's been so long since we did, and I want to see him come back off of that ACL and get a first look. Now that he's, says he's fully cleared and should be a full participant today, to actually see what he could do going into his, I guess, second full season, maybe because he was out last year, of course, of college football is going to be, I think, exciting. There's so much buzz building around what he could be this season as an interior defensive lineman, the inside pass rush that he brings. So for him to be coming off that ACL and be really playing his first real football in over almost a year, that's the one that I can't wait to get some eyes on.
What about position battles? And not even maybe a position battle where a guy has to step up and win the job, but like I'm looking at pecking order, at receiver, and at running back in some of these spots. Like you have certainly a running back. I mean, you've got multiple players that are surely capable of going out there and being an RB1 type guy, but we know it's going to be a running back by rotation. But what do you expect maybe from those positions, or are you looking at another place at a rotation battle?
The first one for me is cornerback. Without anybody coming back from that position, other than LaTerrence Welch, who was mostly a special teams guy, to see how that shakes out is going to be this thing that has to kind of be tracked throughout preseason camp, especially with Deuce Chestnut, who we didn't see in the spring because he was out, now being cleared and back as a full participant is that was going to be really interesting to see kind of how he fits into things because he has more experience than anybody that LSU brought in from the portal at corner. But like you said, it's interesting with this LSU team that there's so many sort of knowns on this team, especially on the offensive side, that a lot of the position battles are a little bit more subtle. Like second, third receiver, how does that rotation shake out? Like you said, at running back, that's going to be fascinating to see. Like obviously LSU probably is going to have like a clear-cut RB1 and who's getting hundreds of carries and handling most of the loads. Going to be more of a rotation, but who is actually in that rotation? Also, it's interesting to be backup safety. If LSU has an injury at safety, who's coming up behind Major Burns and Greg Brooks? to be somebody who could even maybe fit into a rotation or at least be ready if something happens to them and they're not available at some point this season. Those are kind of some of the other ones to keep an eye on, as well as interior defensive tackle behind Mason. These transfers that they brought in with Jordan Jefferson, Jalen Lee, Jacoby and Guillory as an older guy coming back. Can he finally break out? Those are some of the spots too.
Which position are you most concerned about if you have an injury? Because I think you just mentioned it. I think it might be safety for me just because of the unknown, and you've got two very veteran players in Brooks and Burns. Would that be the position, or would you go elsewhere, Wilson?
That would be the position for me at this point in time, because we saw it back in the spring. Both Major and Greg went down late in the spring. Greg's was less serious. He was able to come back. But there was a week there where they didn't have either of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was spring practice, so it was okay. And they were able to at least say, like, okay, we're able to get some young guys like Ryan Yates, a true freshman and early enrollee, a lot of snaps and get some playing time for like Javen Toviano and sort of get these guys up to speed a little bit. And that's fine during the spring, but in the middle of the season, that could be a problem. And so they brought in Andre Sam. He's the former Marshall and McNeese transfer, a seventh-year guy, actually. To maybe be a depth addition. How does he fit into that? And how do some of these freshmen, come along? Are they going to be ready? Because if something happens, Major, if he can finally stay healthy, could have a really productive year. But the last two seasons, he has missed at least 5 games, I think, in each of the last 2 years. And so he's got to be able to stay healthy. If he doesn't, then else he's going to have to need somebody to step up. Injuries happen in football, as we all know. And so that's like you said, that's the position to me that is a little bit of a concern if somebody were to go down.
Yeah, I mean, Major Burns had a neck roll for a large portion of the year last year. Wilson, you never want your safety to wear a neck roll. Fullbacks, yes. Safeties, no.
Yeah, but it was a little bit jarring to see that one on there. Like you said, he's usually not the position that has that.
Yes. I want to talk about the offensive line before we let you go, Wilson. We're catching up with Wilson Alexander from The Advocate here on OTB. The offensive line last year, first game of the year, completely different than what you're going to see this year. It was even completely different from game 1 to game 2. Remember, I mean, they made big changes. I mean, I didn't know Emory Jones was a tackle. I thought he was going to be a guard. And then second game of the year after Florida State, he's out there at right tackle. You had a new center. I mean, it was chaos. I mean, it was organized chaos to some extent, but it was still chaos there from game 1 to game 2. And now you're looking at an offensive line that feels like a real strength for this team. Not only the first 5, but guys behind them. I mean, I can't remember an offensive line that you felt this good about, returners and guys that have multiple years of eligibility left as well?
It's been a while, and it's just such a stark difference, like you said, from the first game last year, and even from the first 5-6 games last year. I think LSU used 5 combinations in the first 6 games or something like that were different for one reason or another, and it finally got settled kind of late in the year, and you saw LSU's offensive line coming on, and that's where there's so much confidence kind of coming into the season for this offense as a whole. But starting up front, the continuity is so much better. We've got Campbell left tackle, we've got Dunger left guard, a little bit of center, of course, with Charles Turner and Marlon Martinez, but if you just cross all the way left to right, there's experience. These guys have been through it now together, not just individually. They've all gone through a season pretty much, but like this is a group of guys that understand what it takes to get to the SEC. They've got some experience. And now, this is Brian Kelly.
Yeah, don't know what's happening there. We could call him back.
I know. It's fine. I think we lost Wilson there.
Sorry, Wilson.
Yeah, they've got practice coming up. I'll text him and let him know that we lost him there. But, I mean, we're talking about the offensive line, something we talked about a lot here in the show already. So we'll go ahead. Let's do this. Let's hit reset a little bit. Shout out to Wilson for winning the Rising Star Award one more time. I mean, that's a national award, and he certainly deserves it, what he's done with LSU there on the beat. And, look, that's a beat that has had a lot of stars. I mean, our guy Deli, from what he was doing to where he's gone, and many others. So congratulations to Wilson on that. We'll take a break. More on the other side when we come back on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, ITI Technical College. I love ITI Technical College, and ITI Technical College loves you. I always talk about, right, if you want to change your life, you want a career, okay, not a job. You want to do well. ITI is the best return on investment that you're going to get in the entire state. based on what you pay for school versus what you get in return. And Georgetown studies prove that. That's not me just pulling that out. But they've been doing this, y'all, for 50 years. And the best part is, if you go tour the campus, you go talk to them, you go to iticollege.edu, you go sign up, you see this, they care about their students. You got small classroom size. You got faculty members with multiple years of real-world experience. They have career consultants. They will schedule your classes for you. They will do mock job interviews for you. They will help set up internships with all the businesses. They have relationships for you. Like, all they want, if you come to them, they just want to help you be successful. They've been at it for 5 decades. Follow them at ITI College.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Camp is here. We'll be out at LSU Fall Camp Day 1. We'll have a camp report, and you'll hear from Brian Kelly. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Riding in the drop top with the top down, so you're switching lanes, girl. Pull up to the red light, looking right, come and let me get your name, girl. Tell me where you're from, what you do, what you like, let me pick your brain, girl. And tell me how they got that pretty little face on that pretty little frame, girl.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
We're back. I'm just letting the song breathe a little bit.
Go for it. This is a jam.
All right, players report today. As we've mentioned, practice starts at 9:45, so we're less than an hour away from the 2023 LSU football season officially starting there. We talked about it in Linked with the Saints as far as places that we may be concerned about the depth, because both teams really, like when you look at the first 22, and not even, I usually throw it into like the first 30 because you're going to have guys that certainly rotate in. Like you feel really, really good about it. Now I feel better about the depth at LSU than I do with the Saints, and some of that's because of roster size, and some of that's because of who they've brought in as well. But the safety position is a very interesting one, and Wilson laid it out there. Major Burns has missed 5 games or more, I believe, both of the last 2 seasons. So each of the last 2 seasons he has missed multiple games. And look, I give him credit for going out there playing with the neck roll. We were kind of joking, but he did everything he could do to go out there and play. And he's a big part of what LSU is going to do defensively this year. But you got to count on a couple of guys to step up. That's a position a little bit of concern because you just don't know. Like there's other places across the team where you have veteran guys who have played. Like if Marlon Martinez had to come in and play center, I think we'd all feel pretty good about that, right?
Yeah. He's filled in pretty well when he's had to. He's developed a little more.
Before. He's a veteran player. Like if Greg Brooks goes down, like where are you going to go?
Yeah, who do you have behind him? You got a Toviano, you got a Lengua, like talented guys.
Yes.
Not a lot of in-game experience.
Yeah, and look, you've got another transfer and Sam coming in, and Andre Sam played a lot of football. He's played a lot of football at McNeese, and he's played a lot of football at Marshall. Does that translate to the SEC? Right, that's a big question, because when I go across this football team, even quarterback, you're like, man, I feel really good about the depth of the quarterback position. LSU has the best quarterback depth in the country, in my opinion, because you might have others that have 4 guys, but the thing about the 4 guys, 2 of them won't be there next year. That's just the way the position is, and certainly in this day and time in college football. You have a guy in Garrett Nussmeier who has stuck around. He's here. Like, he is pot committed. Like, he's going to be here, obviously. Like I said, Jaden Daniels last year. Here comes Garrett Nussmeier. He's going to come in. So you feel incredible about the quarterback depth. Not a lot of places. I mean, I don't even know what the percentage would be of places that would feel good if their guy went down. Now, you don't want your guy to go down. Make no mistake about it. But you have a situation at LSU where you have a true Heisman contender, and if he goes down, like, you still feel good about your football team because you have a guy that has come in. He's played against Georgia, the best team in the country, and had a lot of success. He's played going back 2 years when Max Johnson was your starting quarterback. He came in the bowl game and rotated. So, like, that is key for LSU because there's a couple of places across this country that are breaking in a new quarterback, or if their quarterback went down. Like if Caleb Williams goes down at USC, all that talk from T-Bob about the Trojans and Petite Trojan Boy and all that, it goes out the window. He is their lifeline. If he goes out, that lifeline goes flat. It's just what it is. LSU has a situation where they be able to absorb an injury like that. So you feel really good about where they're at. I mean, Jordan Travis, if he went down at Florida State, I mean, you just don't have that luxury in most places. So LSU, incredibly fortunate to have that situation. Even on the offensive front, like, you feel good. Tight end, my God, it was tight end scary last year. Your offensive coordinator, Denbrock, would be out there with like 2 guys and then 3 walk-ons. Nothing against walk-ons. Walk-ons can play. Shout out my guy Chris Doring. Never want to hate on walk-ons. But it was a room that was as thin as I've ever seen a room in college football. Like, you didn't have anything out there. And now you're bringing in a surplus of tight ends through this signing class to go with a guy that was just selected to be preseason All-SEC in Mason Taylor.
Yeah, that should motivate him after a really good freshman season. I feel like they threw the ball to him a lot more towards the end of the year and in the bowl game too.
I mean, the first game of the year, it's almost like he'd done so well in camp they were trying to force it. So that gives you high hopes and what he's already shown them. And then, Mario, to your point, the way he ended the Alabama game, like, he went out there and was a dude. He was a dog. Like, he went and made the plays that won the game. Think about the touchdown in the corner in the north end zone, and then you catch the 2-point conversion to win the game. So you have him, and then, oh, yeah, if he gets hurt, it's not doomsday because you actually have some bodies that can go out there and play the position. And so you feel good about the depth in a lot of positions. That safety position, the one that we're all looking at here in Baton Rouge, and certainly early in training camp to see which guy can step up. We'll be back. Hour number 3 of OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to patientplusuc.com. Patientplusuc.com. They are there for you, right? They're there for you when it's inconvenient. And we all know what I'm talking about, right? It's 6 at night, 6:30 at night. All of a sudden, you trip over your handlebars when you're riding your bike, you bust your chin open, and stitches happen. Well, the good thing about it is you can go over to Patient Plus, and they're going to help you out. Remember, you can book that appointment online. Walk-in's always welcome as well, but there's going to be a location that is convenient for you. Wherever you're at in the Baton Rouge area, there's going to be a location that is near you. Look, I used to tell y'all my story all the time. My youngest son, he had that situation. He did flip over his handlebars and bust his chin open. We were at Patient Plus at 6 o'clock, back at home having dinner at 7:15. Already back at home. That's what kind of service you're going to get. They already know you when you walk into the door. Go to that website today, patientplusuc.com. Get in and get better.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. on Thursday, August 3rd. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 100. Coming up on OTBOT, Chef Michael Johnson joins the show at 9:15 for a new edition of Munchies. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 3 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, Peter said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
All right, welcome in hour number 3 of OTB. We're going to have Chef Michael Johnson join us at his normal 9:15 slot, so go ahead and get some of those Munchies questions inside the Bayou Ford chat. But before we get there, it's that time of year where we start to get rankings and preseason lists and top 25s. And CBSSports.com actually went a step farther, and they ranked from 1 to 133 because we now have 133 teams in the FBS. But I just want to take a look at some of the top 25, but mostly the top 10. And I found something very interesting when looking at the top 10, and I don't remember a year. Now, correct me if I'm wrong inside the chat, because obviously I'm sure there's a year maybe that pops up that I don't have in my memory bank. So I'll go through the top 10, and I'll tell you what my initial thought was. At number 10, Washington. 11-2 last year, finished the season number 8. At number 9, Clemson, 11-3, finished the season 14th. At number 8, Florida State, 10-3, finished at number 10. At number 7, Penn State, 11-2, finished number 7. USC, 11-3, finished number 12. Alabama, 11-2, finished number 5. LSU, 10-4, finished 15th. Number 3, Ohio State, 11-2, finished number 2 in the country. Michigan, number 2, 13-1, finished 4th in the country. Georgia, number 1, 15-0. We all know, finished 1st in the country. So that is the top 10. The thing that stood out to me, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Penn State, Clemson. What do they all have in common? Anybody know?
Not coming to me at the moment.
Okay. Taylor, anybody know? All breaking in new quarterbacks. Every one of those teams. Now, Cole Cubelic has had some run, but he doesn't have a half a season. Certainly doesn't have a full season. Drew Aller has some run. Sean Clifford was the guy at Penn State.
They're hyping him up a lot in Penn State.
Very talented player. Incredibly talented. More talented than Sean Clifford, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a better player than Sean Clifford, but the talent is certainly there. So Georgia breaking in a new guy. As I mentioned, Ohio State and Alabama and Penn State, Clemson. All right, so they're breaking in a new quarterback. But then you have the complete opposite in the other 5 teams. Michigan, LSU, USC, Florida State, Washington. Not only do they have returning quarterbacks, they have Heisman Trophy contending quarterbacks. They have guys that no matter which betting site you go to, we hope you go to DraftKings, you're going to find those players within the top probably 8 of it. I mean, J.J. McCarthy at Michigan, certainly Jaden Daniels at LSU, Caleb Williams at USC, Jordan Travis at Florida State, and Penix there at Washington. Like, I can't think of a year where there wasn't, like, at least one guy. One guy was like a one-year starter. He threw for 20 touchdowns and 13 picks last year. And we're hoping he takes that next step. It is drastically different between 5 of the teams in the top 10 in the preseason and the other 5 teams. 5 of them, you don't know. You think you know. Maybe you have something good on your hands, but you don't know. Like, I think Cole Cubelic's going to be a good quarterback with Garrett Riley. But there were some inconsistencies last year. Didn't play great in the bowl game. In fact, played bad in the bowl game. Like, I think that Drew Aller, like we're talking about, is going to be a really good player. Don't know. I haven't seen him for a full season. Same situations. Alabama, we talked about it with Cole in hour number 1. Them going to get Tyler Buckner, that'd be concerning for me if I'm an Alabama fan. Because Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, what did he do at Notre Dame before he left? He recruited Sam Hartman to be the starter. You know who was on that roster? Tyler Buckner. And he went and got Sam Hartman from Wake Forest to be the starting quarterback because he didn't believe in Tyler Buckner. He's bringing him down to Alabama, and he doesn't even have the advantage, like Cole mentioned, of having the same terminology. So if he had the same terminology as Tommy Rees, you would be like, oh, well, that's why he comes in, because he's already going to know. He's not going to have to learn the other quarterbacks. No, Tyler Buckner's got to learn. Tommy Rees has to learn Nick Saban's verbiage. That's just the way it is. Every coordinator has had to do that because he wants to keep it the same, and it makes sense. I mean, Gary Croton learned Jimbo Fisher's terminology when he came here in 2007. Like, it behooved the offense and us that had been in that system for multiple years, right? So that advantage doesn't play there. So, like, that would be concerning. And quarterback play seems to, be one of those things that every year it's like, you don't have a guy, I can't trust you. But this year you don't see that. This year, the pundits, and I'm one of them, they're like, oh, Georgia, they'll be fine. It's Georgia. Ohio State, every quarterback they put in there throws for 1,000,000 yards. Same situation at Alabama. I mean, same situation at Clemson. Like, they've had Watson, they've had Lawrence. It was DJU's problem. It wasn't a Clemson problem. There's just a lot of difference between having a guy that you don't know about and having a Heisman Trophy contender. And I think that's why so many people are high on Michigan and are high on LSU and high on USC and Washington and Florida State, these teams that have a returning quarterback. When you look at guys that have been through it before, now the schedule also, that matters. Like, Georgia's quarterback, whoever it is, and it's going to be Carson Beck, he's going to figure it out. He's going to have time to figure it out. But Alabama's quarterback, you got Texas week 2. And, like, I know that we joke a lot here in Texas, and Texas being back, and the first time they've been picked to win the Big 12 since 2009, that's still a very talented team that had you on the ropes last year. And if Quinn Ewers doesn't go down, they probably beat you a year ago. You don't have that time. You got to figure it out. Now, you got a game, I believe it's Middle 10. You got that game to figure it out, but you don't have a long time because then you've got a very talented team coming to your building. Same thing with Clemson. Clemson's got Duke week 1 on a Monday night, last game of week 1. You're probably rolling your eyes right now when I say that. Duke was a 9-win football team last year, should have won 11. Should have won 11 games last year. Go back and watch how they blew the North Carolina game. And you can say that, and I say it all the time. I mean, hypocritical a little bit. Good teams find a way, bad teams find a way. But they had a chance to win 11 games last year. First year, Mike Elko. They won 9. They got Riley Leonard coming back at quarterback. It's going to be a good football team. You're going to be breaking in a quarterback in Cade Klubnik with Garrett Riley. Now, I think it's going to work. I have Clemson winning the ACC over Florida State. But you don't have a lot of time to figure it out. In week 4, it's at home, but you got Florida State. All right, so there's some big questions, some concerns for some of these teams. I mean, am I putting too much stock into this quarterback? I mean, that just jumped off the page at me.
I don't think so at all. Sorry, Taylor, cut you off. But we talked about Heisman odds for Jaden Daniels, and he was tied for the 3rd shortest a couple days ago. Now he's tied for the 2nd shortest with Quinn Ewers, 12-1 to win the Heisman, only behind Caleb Williams, who's 5-1.
No, if you take the national thing out of it, just look at the SEC. I mean, there's 5 or 6 teams out of the 14 teams that return a quarterback. Brady Cook at Missouri, Yeah. I mean, you got Wegman, you got Daniels, you got Jefferson, you got Will Rogers. And that's it. You got 5 or 6 teams out there. Yeah. And I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with Carson Beck. I think he's a good quarterback. But like you said, we still have to see it. That's why so many people are high on LSU. Like, basically, until you get to the SEC championship, if you get there, you have an advantage under center on almost everybody you play in the SEC. So, no, I don't think you're putting too much into it. I think it's a huge advantage for LSU and the other teams you mentioned.
I mean, the stat that Cole Cubelic gave me at Media Day, LSU and Vandy, the only teams returning their starting quarterback that started every game and their offensive coordinator. I was like, nah. And you start to think about it, like, that much change between quarterback and coordinator. I mean, that is such a strength for think about last year. Nobody knew each other. And BK will say it. It's like, I didn't know my team at Media Day last year. Like, you think you know, like, he's like, I knew the top guys, but you don't know. Think about how much better that relationship is now compared to where it was a year ago. And you had a nice run a year ago. Now you want to continue that run and win an SEC title and get into the college football playoff. But that is such an advantage for LSU to have coordinator and quarterback and have those guys back for another season because there's just so much change. The top teams that we're talking about, okay, that are breaking in a new quarterback. New coordinator at Georgia. You're going from Monken to Bobo, which I think is so under talked about right now. And I know there's some people, our guy Aaron Murray, who does Snaps with T-Bob. Subscribe to Snaps, by the way. Watch it. It's fantastic. Like, Mike Bobo was his OC. Like, that was his guy. So, of course, he's going to be high on him. And sometimes we fall in. Like, I was high on Bo Pelini coming back. I don't try to hide from it because I knew good times with Bo. And sometimes it's hard to get that out of your memory bank. Same thing with Bobo. He's been let go his last 3 jobs, 2 of them in the SEC. And we're just assuming now Georgia's so talented, the schedule, they'll be fine. They'll win a lot of games. I'm not saying they won't, but like when it really matters, like Todd Monken was a better offensive coordinator than Bobo. He just is. And it just feels like we're just assuming, and I get it. You've earned the benefit of the doubt. By all means, you've won back-to-back national championships, but new coordinator, quarterback there. Ohio State, somewhat of a new coordinator, quarterback because Brian Hartline's now calling the plays. Ryan Day's no longer calling the plays. Last time we saw Ryan Day, he put together one of the best game plans that I have ever seen, ever, against Georgia. They were a shanked field goal away from winning a national championship. As much as I love TCU, and I do, and I'm high on them again this year, they would have throttled TCU, Ohio State would have, if they get into that game. But he gave it up because that's the way it is in college football now. It's a different discussion, but new coordinator, new quarterback. Alabama, new coordinator, new quarterback, right? So you go Clemson, new coordinator, new quarterback. You go across the landscape of all this new, you feel really good about where your team is.
Is it fair to wonder if Ryan Day can fix his defense? Like, they're going to put up a lot of points. That's going to make them contenders. But they brought in Knowles from Oklahoma State last year, which was supposed to, make their defense go up a notch, and that didn't really happen in the college football playoffs. I think that's what people are looking at when it comes to Ohio State.
Yeah, it is. Because they're going to score points, and that's a fair look. The last it feels like 17 quarterbacks since 2007 when we played them. Like, it feels like they have had a quarterback that is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Defense is an issue, though. Defense has been an issue for them in big games. Not in every game, but in big games.
Like we talk about with Lincoln Riley.
It's not that. It's not 106 in the country USC, but to your point, it is something that has kept them from winning championships.
Yes. He's right. Like, remember when me and T-Bob went back and forth about Riley a couple weeks ago? That was me and Mario both mentioned it. Like, he's been loyal to Alex Grinch to a fault. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing with Ryan Day. But, Jake, kind of going back to your point of, new quarterback, new coordinator, all that, and, having the stability, I think it goes deeper with LSU. I think they even have a bigger advantage because when I was looking at SEC Media Days, I was like, who are they taking? Yeah. And I meant it in a positive because I was like, you don't have a bunch of upperclassmen, like a fifth-year senior out there. You had Daniels, but, outside of him, who were you going to take? And then a guy like Mason Taylor is a prime example. He was so ready to play at Florida State. People don't realize he was not there in the spring. Yeah. He was a fall guy. He was not an early enrollee. This is his second full year in the system. He just did his first spring a few months back. A guy like him can take a big jump. Malik Neighbors will take a big jump. And you mentioned Monken to Bobo. Everybody's like, oh, well, Carson Beck's going to be good. He hasn't had game experience, but this is his 4th year in the system. Not anymore. It's not. It's a different system, different offensive coordinator. Yeah. So, I think the entire LSU team is benefiting from this.
Yeah, great point. Different philosophies, right? Because we talked about the same verbiage there for Alabama, but Todd Monken and Mike Bobo don't run the same thing.
No.
Now, Bobo was there last year as an analyst, so maybe he picked up some things. He's a good coach. I don't want to sit here and hate on Bobo, but I think his best football is behind him. I do. They were setting records in 2010, 2011. But he's been fired from his last 3 jobs. Whenever it gets tight, and you know what I'm talking about, that situation where you've got to go in the memory bank and you've got to call your best player, you've got to come up with the best game plan, you always fall back to what has served you the best. And sometimes that's not good. Sometimes that's a bad thing. And sometimes Mike Bobo or these guys across the country, in 2012 we ran that against Florida and it worked, and I love that ball play. For Jimbo, it was 92 win. It was 92 win. That was the play call. Anytime that we had a situation, we ran 92 win. That's why it was called win, because he thought it was going to win the day. We ran it against Tennessee, 2006, the game winner. Dwayne Bowe in the end zone. That was 92. I think it was Dwayne Bowe. That's a long time ago. Early Doucette, maybe. I don't know. It was a receiver. 92 win. That was a play, because that's what we were going to run. If you ran that play today, probably doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But you're always going to go back to that. And if you haven't evolved with the game, that is troublesome. So we'll see. It's just very intriguing to me. 10 teams, 5 have new quarterbacks, 5 have Heisman contenders. 4 have new coordinators of the 5 new quarterbacks, right? So a lot of new. You should feel good about not having that new this year. Your new was last year, and you got to Atlanta for the SEC championship game, and now you've got experience. You've been together for a year, and that's another reason why we're so high on this LSU football season. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, it is time for Munchies. Chef Michael Johnson joins the show. So go ahead and get those Munchie questions inside the Bayou Ford chat. We'll get to as many as we can here on OTB.
OTB, OT. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
Sandegriff, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from the original walk-ons, Burbank and Nicholson. Jimmy's back from vacation. We're on the LSU practice field. Dwayne Colucci, Matt Humans, and Todd Graffinini from Saints Camp. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Church on Sunday morning, Grandma's hand played a tambourine so well. Grandma's hand used to issue out a warning. She'd say, Billy, don't you run so fast. Might fall on a piece of glass. Might be snakes there in that grass. Grandma's hand. Grandma's hand. Soothe the local unwed mother.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back into OTB. It is Wednesday. Good Lord, it's Thursday. Thursday, second segment of the show. So you know what time that is. It's Chef Michael Johnson. Time for some Munchies. Chef, we appreciate your time because, well, we know you were at it. And you were at it probably early this morning. You're going to be there late tonight because training camp is no longer upon us. It is here.
It is here, brother. That's true.
So what was this morning like? Was it too crazy? Did you already have look, I know you and you're a planner. Did you have a plan in place where maybe it wasn't as bad?
Yeah, we really started 3 days ago with organizing our walk-ins and our storage areas and stuff because, it's so intense and so much food that, it's kind of a constant Chinese jigsaw puzzle of products constantly moving around. One of my major walk-ins is 100 yards down the road outside. It's remote to us. So, going down there and coming back in this heat, you don't want to do that too many times a day. So we try to make everything as efficient as we can. Training camp actually started last night for dinner. So we were here late last night and then, woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and we started seeing buses come in from the shuttle around 5:45 or 6 o'clock, and it's interesting, the different leadership groups and how structured and how things unfold, and it's been a very structured moment. Like the guys come in, it's trickled in, it's not a big rush, and this is a polite group of guys. I love how they recruit for personality as well as for talent. I think that's a really important deal, and I really love working with this group of guys.
Yeah, that is great to hear. Chef, what's the one thing that is the biggest headache when it comes to being ready and feeding that many people? Like, is there one food, one ingredient, one something that, like, I know it's coming, it sucks every year, there's nothing I can do about it?
I think one of them is, and Coach Kelly's not as bad about this. I think Coach O did it a little bit. But it just kind of varies on who the management is. But every once in a while, you have to anticipate the unimaginable, right? Like, what time are they coming? And if they're doing well outside of practice and everything's going well, sometimes they'll cut them out a little early.
Right.
And so, quality food is served at the moment that it's cooked, and you know what I mean. And so it's that anticipation of when to expect them. So there's a lot of communication that's involved, and cooking for, it's not just the football guys, it's the support staff. So it's 175, 200 people, that have the potential to come through the door. So, it's keeping the staff
and you're
motivated.
And you're hoping, the time that they're coming. If you cut practice by, because coaches will do this, this better than anybody, 35 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're scrambling.
And if the whole team walks in at the same time, that the team by and large is a really patient group of guys. Don't get me wrong, but when you come in from practice and you're hot and sweaty and tired, patience is not at the top of the mind, and all they want to do is eat and refuel and go rest and or go on about their day. And so, we have to be 75% to 80% cooked and ready when they walk through the door, so that they're not waiting on us. Nobody wants to wait on the kitchen, man. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants that, and I don't want that. But in the same breath, I don't want food sitting waiting on football either. because it's losing its quality. So it's just gauging when to do it at the right time.
All right, Chef, let's get into it. Hashtag Munchies. Best way to cook pork ribs without a smoker.
Slow and low. So, one thing I'll do is if you have a gas grill, you turn on one end and turn the rest of it off, and you do what's called an indirect heat. So, you allow the gas to come up and over it, or the heat to come up and over it, without it being directly below it. And that indirect heat kind of cooks as an oven, right? So I don't know. It just depends on what kind of cooking equipment you have to how you can really execute. So,
hashtag Munchies. What are 3 kitchen tools you cannot do without?
Well, the chef's knife is one of them. A cutting board is probably, I feel awkward cutting on. I go to my brother's house all the time. He's like, just cut on the granite. And I'm like, I'm not cutting on the granite. So I do like a cutting board. Chef's knife.
Wood, right? Wood cutting board.
Yeah, something that's self-healing, or a composite, something like that.
Okay.
And then a saute pan. I can, or something that's broad and like a brazier even maybe, but a saute pan that's long enough, like a 12-inch saute pan, I can do a lot in. So.
Yeah. T-Bob would certainly have a follow-up on braziers. We won't have that here when I'm solo. Hashtag Munchies. Any unique compound butters for steak / tenderloin?
Yeah, when I worked for Philippe Parola, we used to do what's called a maitre d' butter, and you mince garlic and parsley, and you need to once you mince your parsley or chop your parsley down, run it under cold running water and rinse the green chlorophyll out of it. Otherwise, it'll get bitter and it'll turn your butter, kind of a bitterish green color. A little, just depending on how much butter you're making, I usually splash a little white wine and maybe some cognac even in it, and whip it, so that when you are sautéing, that releases out. A little bit of seasoning salt, maybe some paprika and cayenne in there, maybe a little garlic powder, and some minced shallots as well.
Hashtag Munchies. When smoking a pork shoulder, does it actually help to season it 24 hours before smoking?
Absolutely. Yeah, that helps form what they call the bark. So the salt on the outside, assuming you're using salt, you should be using salt. Those salt and spices, there's an exchange, right? Like the moisture from the meat draws that salt in, and it will draw and also in the refrigerator. So a refrigerator removes moisture from the air. So as when you have it sitting in the refrigerator and you have the salt on it, what's happening is it's removing the surface moisture from the piece of meat. And so when you're smoking, it's kind of accelerating the formation of the bark, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Hashtag Munchies. Avocados you buy at the store always seem to be hard. What is a good way to soften them up quickly?
Take them home and put them in a brown paper bag and seal them in with themselves, or like an old banana that's browning. Okay. So you have what happens is it's an ethylene gas production that's going on there, and it's ripened by its own natural release of ethylene gas. But there are other fruits and vegetables that release ethylene gas, and then you have ethylene gas sensitive stuff that like leafy greens are sensitive to ethylene gas, and it'll make them wilt quicker. But you can take like a banana, and as the closer it gets to brown, and the browner it is, the more ethylene gas it's releasing. And so you can take your avocados and put them in a paper bag with that banana or something that's ethylene gas producer, and it will at room temperature too, not in the refrigerator, and let it sit out overnight or a couple of days, and that will help ripen it for sure.
Hashtag Munchies. Best way to make a homemade spaghetti.
Spaghetti? Like a sauce, or
I guess the whole deal. I don't know. I mean, making your own noodles?
Yeah, I have made up my own noodles. I mean, fresh pasta, if you have the patience for it and the capacity to do it, is the by and large the best way to go about it. But you need a pasta machine, right? And or an extruder. So sometimes it's a little bit hard for the home people to do. But if you can find fresh noodles that aren't dried and they're they have moisture in them, they sorry, somebody's trying to get in the nutrition center here. And then stew your tomatoes. And I like to use I like to use San Marzano tomatoes. They're low acidity. You don't have to put sugar in your sauce. And cook it slow and low. I like taking my time with stuff. Some people are in a rush to make things happen. To me, things that come out best, you take your time with. So,
and those homemade noodles, I've seen my wife's great grandma used to make them, and she would spend all day on those noodles.
I mean, it's really something special. My grandma used to make homemade noodles for me too, and I mean, I think that's part of where it comes from. Is that the time and energy that you put into it, it just makes a difference. And especially with the sauce, you don't have to boil them as long, and you can actually dunk them in the hot water and just get them soft enough that they're pliable, and then put them into a thin sauce, and they start absorbing the sauce. So your noodle's turning red, and you actually get the sauce in the noodle versus the sauce falling off of the noodle and all oily. Yeah.
All right, hashtag Munchies. If it can't be a cold adult beverage, what does Chef like to drink with his meals?
I guess it depends on what time. Like right now, it's water. it's a lot of water. I've gotten away from sugary substances and carbonated substances a lot. We drink some Powerade here, so I guess there is some sugar in that. But I'm a Southern boy. I like iced tea with my meal.
All right, Chef, before we let you go, what's the rest of the day kind of look like? First day of camp, I believe they're going to be on the practice field like in 15 minutes. So what's it look like for you in the kitchen? How many times you got to feed the squad?
So we'll feed them 3 times today. We fed them once. It's funny because I have to stay ahead of my crew. I have to stay ahead of the product. I have to stay ahead of football, just planning for stuff. And so, I pace a lot. mean, I will put 15 or 20,000 steps in today, just walking around the kitchen, eyeballing things, correcting things, and, giving people heads up on where things are going to be and where to take things. As the mealtime gets closer, things get more intense. People will get a little bit quieter if I start getting louder,
Yes.
but if all goes well and, everybody's in good mood, there's music playing, everybody's in a good vibe. But if things start getting sideways and they start screwing things up, things get a little quieter and things get a little tenser. So I'm not one to yell, but
he will if he has to.
I am one to get the message across and assert myself if I need to. Yeah.
There he is, our guy, the executive chef for LSU Athletics, Chef Michael Johnson, good enough to join us like he does every single Thursday. Chef, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the day and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, we will take a break. I want to dive a little bit back into some of that CBS.com top 133. Now, we're not going to break down all 133, but a couple of other teams that are starting in positions that I feel like a little unfair. Some are a little overhyped. We'll break it down when we come back here on OTB.
OTB, OT. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired. Are you with me?
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana,
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal.
Join me for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Rouse's. Luke Johnson going to check in from Saints Camp, and we'll get you all caught up on day 1 from LSU Fall Camp. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Out in the country past the city limit sign where there's a honky-tonk near the county line. The joint starts jumping every night when the sun...
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Get that winning feeling from the gridiron to the diamond and beyond with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Check it out, y'all. With money lines, props, parlays, and more, you bet your favorite sports and take shots at massive wins. And right now, new customers have an incredible deal. Use the promo code Baton Rouge to sign up. All one word, Baton Rouge. You get $150 in bonus bets instantly for betting $5 on anything. How about that? Remember, if you're a returning customer, you can always take your winnings to the next level with the DraftKings same game parlays, okay? So open up the app, place your parlay, combine a bunch of bets, get that bigger payout. What are you waiting for? Promo code Baton Rouge, bet $5 on anything, $150 in bonus bets instantly. It must be 21 or older, physically present in Louisiana, select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensee partner, Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Hopefully T-Bob, as you just heard there, is having a great time out in California. He'll be back on Monday. We'll be back together. Be Han Solo again tomorrow. I say Han Solo, but my guys Mario Taylor holding it down with me here. Feels good. You know, when I used to do a bunch of solo shows when I first started here, because, you know, Ronnie Rance wouldn't show up sometimes, or he'd show up a little late. Flynn, Christian Bale at the last moment. It does feel good. And shout out to Happy and to Paul, my 2 dogs, OGs, but let's just say they weren't real comfortable getting on the mic.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I said it over the break, and I'll shout him out on the air, too. I really loved Casey's interaction on the mic and with the chat. He did a great job producing. So, yeah, it helps to have guys like him and Taylor lean on.
It certainly does. And I'm going to lean on y'all a little bit here in this conversation or ask your opinion because we talked about the CBSSports.com 1-133. And, Mario, you asked me a great question right before we came back on. Who's your NC State this year? And if you'll remember, I was incredibly high on the Wolfpack last year. Now, they ended up winning 8 games, so they didn't go full Texas A&M and win 5. But Devin Leary got hurt in Game 5, and they didn't win the close games, and they didn't end up being the team I thought they could be because of who they had returning in the year they had before. I was also high on Illinois. Now, same win total as NC State, but it felt a little bit better because no one had Illinois winning 8 games, and they had a chance to beat Michigan there at the end of the season. They lose a close bowl game to Mississippi State. And so to answer your question, I don't know if I can go this team because they played for a national championship last year, but I feel like TCU might be this year's NC State for me. They were picked in the preseason to finish 5th in their conference in the Big 12. 5th, right? They're picked to finish 17th. So far, like on this preseason poll. And they were a team that lost a lot. It was a first-round receiver, a second-round interior offensive lineman, a third-round running back, multiple defensive backs that get drafted. But you return a lot on that defense. And that defense in that 3-3-5 was something that nobody talks about because we all know offense is better. It's not debatable. It's just the way it is. And so that got all the headlines. But you do return some really good players from the defense, including a Johnny Hodges right there in the middle of that defense, the Navy transfer, who was he was all world to me, but all Big 12 certainly a year ago really gave that defense an identity, a toughness there in that 3-3-5 that sometimes can be difficult to get. But when you look at what they've done, they bring in multiple players, JoJo Earl, Trey Sanders, and others from Alabama, a Jack Besh from LSU. Now, Jack Besh didn't get to the heights we thought he would with LSU last year, and he was a little bit of a man without a position, but if you utilize his skill set right, he can be a hell of a player for you. I'm expecting big things from Jack Besh. And you did some other things in the portal, players from Arkansas, Florida, and Sonny Dykes is a developer as well. I'm a big believer in Sonny Dykes. So, and this is also, y'all know my stat, a team that in the last 14 years has finished in the top 7 times. 7 times. In the last 14 years, they finished in the top 7 in the country. 3 of those times in the top 3 in the country. So last year was not a one-off, right? It wasn't a Cincinnati. It wasn't UCF or even a Boise where you have nice years. It's, 1 year where you're really elite, couple years where you're top 10. Like they have been really, really good in the past. They have been a team that a lot of us thought would make the college football playoff in the past, not just last year, right? They kind of got slighted a little bit. So this is a program that I'm a big believer in. And they kind of had the same method that LSU had in the portal last year. Sonny Dykes has identified guys from the Metroplex area and said, hey, if you're not happy where you're at, come back to TCU. You can play here. You can come back home. And you start to see it. Guys from Texas, from other the guys from Alabama that they've gotten. Those 3 of those players have been from the state of Texas. You get Chandler Morris back. Max Duggan, one of my favorite players to cover ever, certainly last year. He wasn't your starter, though, last year to enter the season. Chandler Morris was. He's back. So they have more coming back than I think they're getting credit for. They've added in the portal in places that they lost. Does that mean it's going to work out? No, it doesn't. But they have identified players that they feel like can replace the first-round receiver, the second-round lineman, the third-round running back, the third-round corner, all of those positions. So it's a team that I'm going to be high on. I'm a big believer in them. I think they're going to challenge for the Big 12. Not to say they're going to win it, but I think they're going to finish much better than 5th in the Big 12. I would even say, like you look at the skill positions, not at running back. Running back, you lost a lot. But at receiver, I think the totality of the group is better than what you had a year ago. Maybe not individually. You lost a first-round receiver to the Chargers. But in the entire group, I think you have more depth than you had a year ago. So TCU is this year's NC State. Mario, Taylor, if I threw it to y'all, who's a team? I'm not talking about a team that's like picked to finish 74th right now, but somebody that you believe in that can make like a real run to win their conference.
Similar to TCU, I always feel like Utah's being slept on a little bit. I know they lost a few significant players, but Whittingham's a very consistent, very winning coach. Similar to how I have faith in just Sonny Dykes to finish better than 5th, I have faith in Kyle Whittingham to at least make Utah competitive, if not beat USC and win the conference again.
Now, is this like win their conference or just be a lot better than people think?
I think be in the conversation to be a real player and win your conference.
We'll go South Carolina, but I don't think they got a realistic shot. Although I think they can finish second in the East. I don't like Joe Milton at all. I don't think Joe Milton's that good
almost
of a
feels like a win if you finish second in the East.
I'll go Duke for all the reasons you mentioned earlier. I mean, they talk about all the good QBs in that conference. I mean, it's Jordan Travis, it's Cade Klubnik. Riley Leonard had a really good year last year. He's back. We saw some clips of him out of the spring. He throws a really tight, catchable ball. I liked everything I've seen from Riley Leonard. A lot more athletic than people give him credit for. I mean, he's a guy that can take off and run and get you the first down if he needs to. Their defense was pretty solid last year. Towards the back half of the year, I could see them improving on that side of the ball as well. So I think Duke's going to surprise the people in the ACC.
I like that pick. Inside the chat, Murder Giraffe said, bro picked the conference champions. Nope. They weren't the conference champions last year. TCU was not the conference champion. So joke's on you, Murder Giraffe. It was actually Kansas State who won the Big 12 last year. So I did not pick Kansas State. And, yeah, they played for a national championship last year, but that's why they're starting at 17th this year. They were picked to finish 5th in their conference this year. And, again, they did not win the Big 12. And so it's going to be an interesting year. I think there's a couple of teams that fall into that category. I like both of your selections there. As I'm looking at Utah, I mean, I thought Josh Pate, when he came over to us, had the best line about Utah, and I steal it. And I cite my work, but I steal it all the time. Utah's always on deck, never up to bat. That is truly how they feel. They've won back-to-back Pac-12 championships. Or maybe he was talking about you. Maybe he was talking about you, Murder Giraffe.
He said,
I apologize.
Murder Giraffe said he was talking about Mario.
Hey, that's on me, Murder Giraffe. I jumped too quickly. I was too sensitivity fine right here. I'll take it. Kangaroo court.
Well, people like T-Bob are just saying it's a given that USC is going to run through them. USC seems to be the consensus there.
Yeah,
so,
well, because of the name on their jersey.
Exactly. So, yeah, they won the conference, but a lot of people are still not respecting them. That's kind of my point.
No, I agree with you. Cam Rising's back. I mean, he's probably, at least experience-wise, the most experience in that conference. I agree with you. I mean, yeah, they won the conference championship last year, but they're being slept on a little bit.
Where were they picked to finish this year in the preseason?
I'm pretty sure behind USC. We'll confirm.
I know it wasn't to win the conference. I think it was
like third or fourth.
I think it was third. It might have been fourth. It might have been USC, Washington,
Oregon, and then
Utah, or Oregon, Washington, Utah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, they won the conference last year, but they do feel like Josh Pate said they're always on deck and never actually up to bat.
Third behind USC and Washington.
Okay, and then Oregon was fourth?
Yes,
okay.
Then Oregon State.
A team that everybody that I talk to on off campus, we're talking Big 12, that everybody throws out there like, watch out for this team, is Texas Tech. And I can't get there. I'm like, what is it you see about Texas Tech? And you get some different answers, but there's nothing definitive. It's never like, well, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of compelled now. Like, it's just for whatever reason, Texas Tech is the darling pick. And they were picked fourth, I believe. It goes Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor. Preseason Big 12. I just don't know what it is. Do y'all know something about the Red Raiders that I don't?
$50,000 per player. I know they get the money.
You have that?
They're solid across the board. Maybe that's it. Like, no one position jumps out at you, but there's also not a glaring weakness. However, the purpose of this exercise was to pick a team that might be slept on a little bit. Fourth in the Big 12 is about where I see Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's about right as their preseason ranking.
All right. Quickly before we take a break, our last break of the show, biggest movers in the CBSSports.com poll. Texas A&M goes up 47 spots to number 23. Wisconsin goes up 35 spots to number 19. Iowa goes up 21 spots to number 25. Kentucky goes up 19 spots to number 28. Tulane goes down 13 spots to number 22. TCU goes down 14 spots to number 17. Duke goes down 17 spots to number 43. Troy goes down 29 spots to number 48, and Cincinnati goes down 29 spots to number 64. All right, we're going to wrap up the show like we do every single day with a little Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cold Coors Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, and Blue Moon Light Sky Citrus Sweet.
OTB, OT.
All right, go to allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com. As I told you earlier in the show, in the second hour, remember you can customize that vehicle however you want it to be. You can add things. You can take things away. You can pick paint color. You can pick the interior's color. You can add whatever you want to. And again, I can't stress it enough. If there's a feature that you're like, I'm never going to use that, I don't need that, you can actually take that off and save a little bit of money. So they give you the full autonomy to do that on the website. Again, go to the tab right there at the top left corner and build that Toyota today. We always tell you about the leasing and rental departments. Let me talk about leasing real quick. It is an easy process. I do it. T-Bob does it. The full fleet is available. You don't get that everywhere. No matter what vehicle they have, they're going to have it available for you. It's not like, hey, you get to choose from these three. If you want to lease, you go over there and you can lease any vehicle they have on the lot. Also, rentals, per day rental prices. You won't find better prices anywhere. Go to allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Camp is here. We'll be out at LSU Fall Camp Day 1. We'll have a camp report, and you'll hear from Brian Kelly. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back in OTB. It's time for Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cole Cubelic, Vizzy, Hard Seltzer, and Blue Moon. Light Sky Citrus Sweet. If you could pick one Olympic sport to participate in during college, which would it be?
Curling.
Soccer.
Swimming.
Ask Jake, least favorite NFL city to travel to? Detroit. We used to walk back from the stadium, walk through to the hotel. It got real sketchy in Detroit. One of the only times I was like, this is not a great idea. I'll explain more about that tomorrow on OTB. We'll see you then.
OTB, OT.
Of the folks who depend on us.